Chapter 754. Second brother, I will be careful. Don't worry. The situation was getting more and more complicated. Chu Yang thought deeply and realized that anyone could be his enemy, especially since he had been in the limelight recently. It could be said that he had become the target of public criticism. The Emperor Island had a cultivation realm restriction. Only those below the Soul Wheel realm could enter. With the battle results that Chu Yang had displayed, he could be said to be invincible among those below the Soul Wheel realm. On the Emperor Island, no one would have thought that there was someone like Chu Yang, who could be called a tyrant, who would snatch away all their fortunes. Therefore, even if those people had no enmity with Chu Yang, it would be the best choice for them to eliminate Chu Yang. This is a little troublesome. Chu Yang's small face turned serious, which made the Zither Saint's son laugh involuntarily. She thought to herself, even a lawless demon like you has times when you are afraid. However, the Saint's son only laughed. He could feel the pressure from Chu Yang. Once Chu Yang entered the Emperor Island, he would definitely be targeted by the demon race and might even become the public enemy. Fortunately, Chu Yang had turned back to 7 or 8 years old because of the reincarnation. The enemies had lost track of him. Otherwise, he would probably have to face endless assassination attempts. Some old monsters might even come out to deal with Chu Yang. Second brother, Chu Yang suddenly said, my identity can't be exposed now. I can't use the artifacts on me. What artifacts do you have? Lend them to me first. Chu Yang did feel the pressure. His current cultivation realm was not enough to face all of this. Yes, of course. The Saint's son laughed. However, there is no need to lend them. Anyway, I don't like this item. I will give it to you. As he spoke, he took out an ancient bottle. It floated in the air like a cloud. There were only 2 colors on it, black and white. There was a dragon-shaped curve on each side, separating the 2 colors. This is the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols bottle. It's a peak Soul Wheel Realm artifact. It's only a few strands away from becoming a Spirit Realm artifact. It can suck enemies into the bottle, refine them into pus, or burn them into ashes. Saint Sun Chinin Sound took out the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols vase, and his face turned extremely gloomy. The Gongsun family of the East Continent has a supreme treasure, the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols vase. This is a replica of it, and it's very ordinary. It doesn't even have 10% of the real Yin-Yang 4 Symbols vase's power. The Gongsun family of the East Continent? The might of a high-grade artifact in the Soul Wheel realm was only SOSO. Chu Yang narrowed his eyes. Compared to the East Continent, the Eastern Wilderness was just a small place. Of course, he also noticed the Saint Child's abnormality. Although she was not in a good mood, he still asked out of curiosity, Second brother, have you been to the East Continent? You've been to the East Continent? Saint Child Chinin smiled sadly. I'm from the East Continent. To be exact, I fled from the East Continent to the Eastern Wilderness. Saint Child Chinin was from the East Continent. Chu Yang was very surprised. He had never expected this. Judging from Saint Child Chinin's tone, there must be a lot of stories behind this. Saint Child Chinin suddenly said, Big brother was targeted because of me. One of his arms was chopped off. What? Chu Yang's pupils shrank. Big brother Chu Fei was crippled in the East Continent, and his cultivation was crippled. There was such a reason behind it? No wonder Big Brother didn't mention it in detail. The enemy was probably extremely powerful. Second brother. Chu Yang narrowed his eyes. Tell me, who chopped off my big brother's arm? At the mention of this person, Saint Child Chinin's face twisted. She gritted her teeth and said word by word, Gong Sun Long. Chapter 755. The Saint's son of Zither Sound was actually a member of the Gongsun family in the East Continent. Internal strife within an aristocratic clan, and brothers killing each other, Chu Yang finally understood. The Saint's son of Zither Sound told him everything. His real name was Gongsun Wushang, and he was the son of a concubine. He had no status in the Gongsun family. He didn't care much about it until one day, his mother angered Gongsun Long's mother over a small matter, and Gongsun Long killed his mother with a palm strike. His mother's death was like the death of a bug. There was no explanation for it. The reason was simple. Not only was Gongsun Long the eldest son, but he was also the supreme genius of the Gongsun family. His martial soul was the supreme treasure of the Gongsun family, the Yin-Yang Four Symbols vase. The Zither Sound Saint's son could still clearly remember the scene that day. His mother had been beaten to death by Gongsun Long, and his bullshit father hadn't even said a single word to blame Gongsun Long. Instead, he had just lost his mother and was heartbroken. Not only had he been ruthlessly scolded, he had even been severely punished. What happened next was simple. The saint's son of Zither Sound endured and worked hard to avenge his mother, but Gongsun Long couldn't let him do as he wished. Therefore, the saint's son of Zither Sound escaped from the Gongsun family and the East Continent. In the end, he fled to the eastern wilderness. Chu Yang remained silent for a long time. It was no wonder that Saint Child Zither Melody would always smile faintly when he, Chao Ju, Saint Child Violence, Jean Duo, and the others were having fun together. His smile had never fully spread. He had something in his heart, and he had hatred and resentment. How could he smile? The Zither Sound Saint Child looked at the silent Chu Yang. Suddenly, a ray of sunlight seemed to penetrate through the haze in his heart and fell on him. Perhaps meeting Big Brother is the luckiest thing in my life. Having such a younger brother doesn't necessarily mean that I won't be able to take my revenge. Gongsun Long was a peerless genius. Moreover, he had the Gongsun family behind him, which was such a huge family. Therefore, the saint's son of Zither Sound had once despaired. But now, he saw Chu Yang, who was even more monstrous than Gongsun Long. This was definitely not an exaggeration. Even if Gongsun Long had tens of millions of souls in his hands, the saint's son was sure that Gongsun Long would definitely not be able to trigger the cycle of reincarnation and send them to the afterlife. Therefore, Saint Child Zither Music was now very convinced that in terms of talent, Gongsun Long was nothing but trash in front of Chu Yang. Little brother, I'll give you this replica Yin-Yang Four Symbols vase. A faint smile appeared on the saint's son's face. He seemed to have seen the scene of Gongsun Long being killed by Chu Yang. Although he was incompetent, and although he was not the one who killed his enemy, this person was his younger brother. He also firmly believed that such a scene would definitely appear. With Chu Yang's performance, he had stirred up the entire eastern wilderness. Music could even imagine how the Gongsun family would be turned upside down. It's time for me to get ready. The saint's son of Zither Sound's thoughts had drifted far away. As soon as he heard Chu Yang's voice, he was pulled back to reality. Second brother, isn't it just Gongsun Long? Do you have to be so gloomy all day? I think if our mother knew, she would come back from the netherworld and beat you up. Chapter 756. East Continent? The Saint Child Zither Melody was lost in her thoughts. Suddenly, she remembered something and laughed. Little brother, I heard that your fiancée is very beautiful. No wonder you don't like junior sister Aoshue. This sudden attack caused Chu Yang to be slightly embarrassed. However, in his mind, he could not help but think of the little girl who was trembling and insisted on sleeping with him during the thunder. Her little face gradually became clearer in Chu Yang's mind. East Continent? Once the Emperor Island is over and I return to the Five Elements sect to kill the Five Elements Divine Son, I should be heading there. However, Chu Yang quickly pulled back his thoughts. Holding the Yin-Yang Four Symbols vase in his hand, he couldn't help but laugh sinisterly. With this thing, not only can I collect souls but I can also collect people. Let's see who still dares to provoke me. I'll kill them all. That wasn't all. The Saint Child Zither Melody looked at Chu Yang's sinister smile and was speechless again. She felt that someone was going to be in big trouble. After that, Chu Yang asked the Saint Child Zither Melody about the realms. In the soul wheel realm, the soul wheel would be formed and the spirit would be condensed. This was the spirit realm. There were 9 levels in the spirit realm. With each level, the connection between the spirit and the world would be closer. There would also be an additional divine bridge behind the spirit, connecting with the world. It was as if the world was the cultivator's paradise. After the spirit realm was the soul fusion realm, also known as the second soul ascension realm. When the spirit and martial soul fused, the martial soul would be upgraded again. After that were the transcendence realm, nirvana realm, life and death realm, and so on. Finally, the Saint Child Zither Melody mentioned something again. Little brother, the burning sky Saint Child is also here this time. You have to be careful. The burning sky Saint Child? Chu Yang said casually. Second brother, with this thing, it's no different from killing a dog for me. The burning sky Saint Child and the Saint Child Zither Melody didn't get along, so they naturally didn't go the same way. There was nothing wrong with Chu Yang's words. The Zither Melody Saint Child smiled and said, this time, he is escorting the son of the sect master. I'm afraid he has some backing. The sect master's son. Chu Yang was surprised again. That's bullshit, how did a son suddenly appear? Who knew that he would appear out of nowhere? The Zither Melody Saint said. The sect master admitted it himself. Can you deny it? Why do I feel like there's something strange about this? Chu Yang did not trust the 5 Elements sect master at all. Furthermore, he had always suspected that there was something wrong with him. After the 2 of them finished their discussion, they split up. The Zither Melody Saint's son sent the news back to the 5 Elements sect, while Chu Yang used a secret method to inform the Sea Demon City Lord Hai Wuya of the Fiend Race's scheme. At the same time, the news of Chu Yang beating up Hai Shunglong and breaking into the 5 Elements sect's encampment quickly spread. Everyone in Sea Demon City knew about it. It could be said that Chu Yang had stolen his own limelight. Right now, his identity as a little brat was the center of attention, and Sea Demon City was abuzz with discussions. Did you hear? That little brat who sold demons gave Hai Shunglong a good beating today. That's already considered light. He only got hit with a brick. Hai Shunglong is already very lucky that he wasn't stripped naked and hung under the sun. That's right, that little brat idolizes Brick Chu. I heard that the 5 Elements sect was also taken care of by that little brat. Do you think that he will clash with his idol Brick Chu? Then we can only wait and see. In any case, whether it is that little brat or Brick Chu, they are not playthings. Whoever knows what is going on in their heads is definitely a god. That's not what I'm curious about. What I'm curious about is how the City Lord Mansion will react. Do you guys think that the City Lord will make a move to deal with that little brat? After all, Hai Shunglong has lost a lot of face this time. The Sea Demon City was filled with turbulent undercurrents. Everything appeared to be even more noisy and disorderly. Chu Yang naturally knew about these discussions, but he didn't care. If Hai Wuya made a move against a little brat like him, that would be too shameful. Therefore, if the City Lord Mansion couldn't bear this, then at most, it would be Hai Wuya's eldest son, Hai Xinghai, who would come to find trouble with him. Hai Xinghai was on the same level as the little gold rock king. Chu Yang felt a bit of pressure, but he wasn't worried. His main concern was what kind of chain reaction would it cause after the news spread out. Would there be a huge storm that would affect and change the current situation? Would there be some kind of major change in the trip to Emperor Island? Perhaps, in the eastern wilderness, a great war between the human race and the demon race would break out immediately. After a night passed, Chu Yang didn't receive any news, nor did the City Lord of Sea Demon City arrive. Instead, he received an unexpected person, the Burning Sky Saint's son. Chapter 757. The Burning Sky Saint was here to find Chu Yang. No, to be more precise, he was here to find the brat. Of course, he didn't know that the brat was Chu-Yang. The Burning Sky Saint had requested a quiet room. Chu-Yang wanted to see what kind of trick he was going to play, so he agreed. After sending everyone away, the Burning Sky Saint asked politely, "May I know your name, little brother?" The Burning Sky Saint kept smiling and spoke as if he was on the same level. A strange smile appeared on Chu-Yang's delicate face. He said, "Burning Sky Saint, right? Do you want to hear the truth or a lie?" "Little brother, you must be joking." The Burning Sky Saint's smile stiffened. Chu-Yang was too rude and didn't give him any face. "Tsk." Chu-Yang looked at him with disdain. "You want to use such a method to find out the identity of this brat? Are you stupid or am I stupid?" However, after thinking about it, Chu-Yang felt that it was possible. If the brat wasn't himself, he might have said his name. Good method. "So, you want to hear the truth?" Chu-Yang smiled, but he suddenly pointed at the Burning Sky Saint and said with disdain, "You don't have the right." The Burning Sky Saint's smile froze on his face. He was furious for a moment, but it disappeared in an instant. He cupped his fists and smiled again. He said apologetically, "Little brother, I was rude. Please don't mind." He changed the topic and said, "Little brother, I'm sorry for the offense. I'm actually worried about Junior Brother Chu. The burden of this trip to Emperor Island is all on Junior Brother Chu. He's under a lot of pressure right now, and little brother—" He found it hard to say, but he finally said, "I'll say something that you don't want to hear. Little brother, you're not afraid, but when you make trouble, please don't bring Junior Brother Chu with you. Junior Brother Chu is on the cusp of the storm. His life might be in danger at any time." Junior Brother Chu. The Burning Heaven Holy Sun actually called his Junior Brother Chu. Was the sun rising from the west? Chu-Yang felt as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. The Burning Heaven Holy Sun was actually worried about his safety. Bang! Chu-Yang was furious. He slammed the table with his little hand. "Who dares to touch my idol? I'll kill his entire family and exterminate all 9 generations of his family." A strange light flashed through the Burning Heaven Holy Sun's eyes. "Little brother, we understand your intentions, but I'll say something unpleasant. Little brother, you can't even protect yourself right now." "Yes." Chu-Yang's blinking beautiful eyes stared at the Burning Heaven Holy Sun like a fierce tiger. An evil smile appeared on his small face. "So you're saying that you're looking down on me?" The Burning Heaven Holy Sun was not afraid. He said bluntly, "Little brother, loyal words are unpleasant to the ear. Your strength is indeed not bad, but you haven't encountered a true test yet." Shua. Chu-Yang's sudden movement shocked the Burning Heaven Holy Sun. When he wanted to react, it was already too late. However, he felt a small figure suddenly appear behind him and immediately felt a sharp pain in his head. Bang! He was smashed to the ground. Only now did he see that Chu-Yang was holding a large golden brick. It was almost as big as Chu-Yang's small body. The Burning Heaven Holy Sun was shocked. "Although the distance was very short, I was already prepared. When this little bastard attacked, I couldn't even react. His strength is indeed extraordinary." "That thing, how do you feel after being hit by that brick?" Chu-Yang looked down at the Burning Heaven Holy Sun from above. He said in a childish voice, "I hope you don't make a mistake about one thing. My admiration for my idol is not because he is stronger than me, but because of how he conducts himself and how he conducts himself. He is my role model." Chapter 758. The Burning Sky Saint's son was humiliated to the extreme and almost went berserk. However, a smile appeared on his face in the end as he apologized. "I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. Please forgive me, little brother." His smile quickly turned into flattery. "Little brother's ability is so profound. I have a presumptuous request. I hope that little brother can save my Junior Brother Chu when he is in danger." The burning sky saint's son stood up and bowed respectfully to Chu Yang, solemnly requesting. Chu Yang felt uncomfortable in his heart. He thought that he was shameless to the extreme. However, at this moment, he realized that he was still thousands of miles away. Chu Yang suddenly roared, "That thing, let me ask you, is Chu Yang my idol or your idol?" "He's little brother's idol, and also my idol." The burning sky saint's son's shamelessness and hypocrisy made Chu Yang unable to take the opportunity to flare up. He felt depressed. He cursed in his heart, "Burning sky saint's son, you're too damn shameless. You're so shameless that you've almost become my idol. I'm your enemy. You can't wait to eat my flesh and gnaw my bones. Now you're saying that I'm your idol." All of a sudden, Chu Yang felt that he should go to the Ho-Hei Academy to further his studies. His so-called shamelessness paled in comparison to the holy sun of burning heaven. His naivety and kindness could move the heavens and move the earth. "Oh, so my idol is also your idol. Why didn't you say so earlier?" Chu Yang curled his lips and said, "I say, that thing, you're so concerned about your idol that even I'm moved by you. Therefore, I've decided to pardon your great disrespect." It's good that little brother didn't misunderstand. The burning sky saint's son smiled and said, "However, little brother, please keep it a secret for me. Don't let junior brother Chu know." Chu Yang thought, "I already know, okay?" Then, he prostrated himself in admiration. The burning sky saint's son was amazing. No one could be as shameless and hypocritical as him. It made him feel even more inferior, so much so that he became angry. Bang! His sudden roar scared the burning heaven holy sun. "I say, that thing, worshipping your own idol, how is it a shameful thing? You worship, you admire, you should say it out loud. How dare you use worshipping your own idol as a disgrace? You deserve to die 1,000 times over." Chu Yang's little face was filled with righteous indignation. The burning heaven holy sun hurriedly said, "After all, I am junior brother Chu's senior brother. Although I admire him, I am afraid that he will become arrogant." "You're amazing. Fuck, you can even find such a reason for me. You've really put in so much effort for your junior brother Chu. Should I be moved to tears right now?" Chu Yang rubbed his chin with his fair and tender hands and pondered, "What you said makes sense." However, he suddenly roared again, "No, my idol should be proud. He should be arrogant and domineering. He should be unscrupulous and do whatever he wants. He should be lawless and only be supreme. He should also be incomparably respected and noble. He should be a nobleman and be second only to one person. Otherwise, wouldn't it make me look very tasteless?" Chu Yang's shamelessness also broke through the sky. His boasting resounded throughout the world. "Yes, that's right." His little hand suddenly pointed at the burning heaven holy sun's nose. "Your understanding is wrong. I don't accept it. I order you now, quickly go out and shout 3 times. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I am proud. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I am proud." The burning heaven holy sun was immediately dumbfounded. He might as well be killed if he were to shout like that. "Is there a problem? Am I wrong?" Chu Yang blinked his cute eyes and fiercely glared at the burning heaven holy sun. "TTT that. Little brother, my face is thin. I really can't shout like that." Chapter 759. Bullshit. Chu Yang angrily roared again. "Is it shameful to treat my idol as my idol? This is a supreme honor. To be able to treat my idol as your idol means that you have awakened and comprehended. Your face should have infinite honor. My infinite honor is an asshole." The burning heaven saint's son almost wanted to explode and kill someone. However, when he thought of Chu Yang's strength, he immediately became cautious and said with incomparable difficulty, "Little brother, I've never been good at expressing myself. Moreover, I've always kept my admiration and reverence in my heart. I feel that if I say it out loud, it would be a blasphemy to this admiration and reverence. Damn! Chu Yang finally cursed in his heart. To think that the burning heaven saint's son could even think of such a reason. Just how much of a flood do you have for me? You're saying that I'm blaspheming my idol, right? Chu Yang's little face became stern. His eyes widened as he firmly stared at the burning heaven saint's son, as if he was about to explode. As for the burning heaven saint's son, for the first time in his life, he seemed to understand the meaning of being domineering. Little brother, I didn't mean it that way. The burning heaven saint's son panicked and stuttered. Every person has a different way of worshipping their idols. If it's different, then let it be the same. Chu Yang said incomparably rudely, You little thing, stop talking nonsense. Immediately go out and shout 3 times that I treat Chu Yang as my idol, I'm proud. Little brother. The burning heaven saint's son's words were directly rudely interrupted by Chu Yang. You little thing, are my words that hard to understand? Do you want me to tell you what it means? At this moment, dense spiritual energy gathered in Chu Yang's little hand and condensed into an extra-large brick. When the burning heaven saint's son saw it, his eyes couldn't help but darken. However, how could he go out and shout, I treat Chu Yang as my idol, I'm proud? Just as he was at a loss for what to do, Chu Yang's childish voice immediately threatened, If you still don't go, I'll knock you out with a brick, strip you naked, and hang you up to dry. Choose one of the two, which one do you choose? If it wasn't for the fact that the burning heaven saint's son clearly knew that he was no match for this brat, he would have already slapped this brat to death. Seeing that Chu Yang was about to make a move, he rushed out with a bang and yelled loudly, I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud. As soon as the burning heaven holy son's voice spread out, everyone from the 5 Elements sect quickly gathered around. The Qinin saint's son, Chao Ju, the Silver Wolf, Jin Duo, Qian Aoshue, Chu Rinxian, Qing Feng, Gong Shang, and the other 5 Elements sect disciples were all present. After they arrived, they realized that it was the burning heaven saint's son who shouted, I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud. They were immediately dumbfounded and looked at the burning heaven saint's son as if they had seen a ghost. There was a deathly silence. There wasn't a trace of noise. The burning heaven saint's son's face was red. His nose was red, his ears were red, his neck was red, and his eyes were red. His hair was also red like flowers were about to bloom. Shouting so softly that only a small group of people can hear it. What's the use? A tender voice reprimanded, You little thing, shout it again. Remember, if it's not loud enough this time, I'll knock you out with a brick, strip you naked, and hang you up to dry. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud. Ha! Chao Ju, Jin Duo, and the Silver Wolf were the first to burst into laughter. Chu Rinxian and the others from the 5 Elements sect couldn't help but burst into laughter. Qian Aoshue also laughed. On her iceberg-like face, it was as if spring had arrived. The ice and snow had melted, and all things had recovered. Her face was covered in colorful flowers. Ha! The Qinin saint's son couldn't help but burst into laughter. The burning heaven saint's son was too ashamed to show his face. With a swoosh, he flew away. Finally, his voice floated over. Qinin saint's son, the sect master has something to tell you. Please follow me. Chapter 760. The burning sky saint only stopped when he was far away from the place of humiliation. He saw that the zither melody saint was already behind him, but he did not turn around. He said directly, Can you confirm that the news he sent back yesterday is correct? The burning sky saint's face was still red, his neck was still red, and his ears were still red. He was definitely not willing to let the zither melody saint see his ugly state and make a joke out of him. As for this, it was naturally Chu Yang. Naturally, the news was sent by Chu Yang earlier. The zither melody saint also stopped. Naturally, he could understand. Is this questioning Chu Yang? However, how could Chu Yang joke about such a thing? The zither melody saint's expression could not help but turn cold as he questioned repeatedly. Do you have eyes? Do you have ears? Do you have legs? The burning sky saint was very rude, and his meaning was very clear. Since the burning sky saint did not believe it, he could go and verify it. Why bother asking? Could it be that he did not know that Chu Yang was his little brother? The burning sky saint's anger surged. He had just been greatly humiliated. At this moment, the zither melody saint was still mocking him. His anger surged, and he almost could not hold it in. He immediately turned around and wanted to kill the zither melody saint. Unfortunately, he did not have the ability to kill the zither melody saint. Crack! The burning sky saint clenched his teeth and said, "He is the true leader of our 5-element sex trip this time. I hope that he can shoulder this responsibility." Here we go again. Humph! The zither melody saint was enraged. He snorted coldly and said, "When did my little brother agree to be the leader this time? When did he promise to protect anyone?" Once again, the zither melody saint rudely rebutted everything back. Naturally, Chu Yang would protect the 5-element sex group. However, this was not his duty. The burning sky saint suddenly turned around. His face was distorted, and traces of blood crawled out of his eyes, making them look scarlet. However, his face was even redder. "Are you trying to show me how ridiculous you look right now?" The zither melody saint was not afraid of him at all. His words stabbed at the burning sky saint. "Actually, I want to know when my little brother became your idol. And you're proud of it. This is really rare. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I am proud of him." When this matter was brought up again, the humiliation was like a ferocious beast that swallowed the burning heaven saint's sun whole. Rumble! The earth caved in and dust soared into the sky. The force of the explosion swept through everything, forming a violent gale that whistled loudly. After the burning sky saint's son vented his anger, he suppressed his anger and threw something at the zither sound saint's son. A 5-colored light streaked across the sky and landed in the zither sound saint's son's hand. "This is the 5 elements flag. The sect leader asked me to pass it to Chu Yang." The burning sky holy son said coldly, "This time, the sect master hopes that he can let the 5-element sect gain the upper hand in the Emperor Island." Shwa. After he finished speaking, the burning heaven holy son didn't want to stay for a moment longer. He flew away and disappeared in an instant. The zither tune saint looked at the 5 elements flag in her hand, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. There were originally 50 flags in the 5-element flags, with 10 flags for each of the 5 elements. As the saying went, there were 50 great Daos and 49 great Daos. The 50 great Daos were the number of cycles. If they were all complete, how could there be any changes? Therefore, the 5-element flags became 49 flags in the end, with 9 flags for each of the 5 elements. 4 flags had no attributes, and the last flag was said to be a hidden flag. It was very mysterious and difficult to measure. The 5-element flags could be considered a treasure that symbolized the 5-element sect. It could be used to set up formations, or as a weapon. Only a formation master could bring out the full power of the 5-element flags. Chapter 761. A Weasel Paying a Visit to a Chicken. What is he up to? The zither melody saint checked the 5-element flag right away, but she didn't find anything unusual. He frowned. Could it be that my performance has gained the sect master's approval, so he changed his attitude? He didn't know, so he discussed the 5-element flags with Chu Yang. "Little brother, this is the 5-element flags. I've checked it, and it should be usable. When the Saint's son handed the 5-element flags to Chu Yang didn't take it. Second brother, you should know that I thought the sect master might be a spy of the Soul Devourer clan a long time ago, Chu Yang said in a deep voice. I still have this suspicion. I'm the most handsome. Chao Ju and the Saint's son both knew about Chu Yang's identity in the 5-element sect, but they didn't say it out loud. The Saint's son was confused. Little brother, there's nothing wrong with the 5-element flags. You can use it without worry. Chu Yang didn't answer. His eyes were dim, and he asked, Second brother, I should be a teenager, right? Needless to say, I'm a teenager. First, I killed the Soul Devourer clan, then the Thousand Demon sect. That should be something, right? It wasn't just something amazing. Could be called a miracle, and it was even more shocking. Second brother, what do you mean? The Saint's son seemed to understand Chu Yang's meaning. Chu Yang smiled and said, When a young man achieves success, it's inevitable that he will become arrogant and overconfident. He pointed at the 5-element flags. For example, even if there's something wrong with the 5-element flags, so what? I, Chu Yang, am omnipotent. If there's something wrong, I'll just erase it. On the other hand, if I don't feel anything wrong with the 5-element flags, then there's definitely nothing wrong with the 5-element flags. It's just that this world is too big. There are all kinds of strange things, and talented people come out in large numbers. There are many things that I can't understand or imagine. If I think the world is in my hands and I'm omnipotent, I'll be so arrogant. Second brother, what do you think the result will be? It wasn't that the 5-element flags didn't have any peculiarities. It was just that they couldn't discover such peculiarities. They want to kill me. Chu Yang's judgment made the Zither Melody Saint's pupils shrink involuntarily. As for them, they were naturally referring to the sect leader of the 5-elements sect, and the 5-elements flag was a tracking device. The Zither Melody Saint child couldn't help but shudder. If that's the case, my whereabouts will be in their grasp. It will be too easy for them to kill me. What a shocking scheme! The more the Saint child thought about it, the more he shuddered. If it were an ordinary disciple of the 5-elements sect, no one would suspect their own sect leader. Just like what Chu Yang had said, when a young man achieved success, it was inevitable that he would become arrogant and self-righteous. Even though he knew that the 5-element flags might be strange, he would still disdain it. His methods were also extremely shocking. If even the Zither Toon Saint's son couldn't recognize it, then it definitely wasn't an ordinary technique. Such a conjecture was the most malicious conjecture, but it wasn't impossible. Saint Child Zither Melody couldn't help but sigh. Putting himself in Chu Yang's shoes, he thought, if I were Chu Yang, who is now at the peak of my power, I probably wouldn't think much of the 5-elements sect leader. In that case, he was definitely fooled. Little brother is so clear-headed and has such a temperament. It's really amazing. There must be a reason why he can make such a name for himself. The Zither Melody Saint child couldn't help but admire Chu Yang. There were definitely many people who could achieve success at a young age, but there were definitely not many who could be as clear-headed as Chu Yang. Chapter 762. Chu Yang's small face curved into a smile that did not match his age. He sneered and said, They just want to find out more about me, but I won't let them succeed. Bang! The Saint's son suddenly stood up, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Little brother, it seems that they really intend to kill you. Then, he felt lucky. Fortunately, Chu Yang had turned into a 7 or 8-year-old because of the reincarnation. He had hidden his identity and avoided all of this. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Little brother, you have 2 identities now. Your current identity has already become a variable in their eyes. At this moment, the Saint's son's tone was incomparably firm. Therefore, only by figuring out your identity and completely controlling you can they be 100% sure that they can kill you. Otherwise, once you get involved, they will be very worried that their plans will be disrupted by you and all their efforts will be in vain. Such a meticulous plan, taking into account all kinds of factors. Even the slightest bit of uncertainty had to be eliminated. At the same time, it could be seen how much pressure Chu Yang was exerting on them, making them have no choice but to be so cautious. Yes. Chu Yang nodded. He was surrounded by enemies now. The trip to Emperor Island was very dangerous. Second brother, he thought for a while. Think of a way to prevent those idiots from entering Emperor Island. I don't feel good now. He was talking about Chao Ju and the others. The saint's son shook his head and said, "Life and death are predestined. Wealth and honor are in the hands of the heavens. They are not your children. Even if they are, you don't need to arrange everything for them and make decisions for them. Moreover, Emperor Island is not the only dangerous place in this world. There are dangers everywhere in this world. It's just that the forms of danger are different. You don't need to be responsible for their life and death, and you shouldn't interfere in their lives or be responsible for their lives. Only they can be responsible for their lives. Apart from them, no one else can. Not even the gods or the heavens." What the saint's son meant was that he was meddling too much. What he thought was a better choice for them might actually be the worst choice. "Second brother, you're right." Chu Yang suddenly laughed. "Second brother, why do I suddenly feel that you are so deep?" I was caught off guard. The zither-tuned saint's son smiled bitterly. He couldn't do anything to Chu Yang. Just as the two of them were analyzing the current situation and discussing how to deal with it, someone came knocking on their door again, looking for Chu Yang's identity as a brat. They were the Sea Demon guards of Sea Demon City. As soon as the burning heaven holy sun left, they came knocking on his door. The zither melody saint speculated with the greatest malice and couldn't help but worry. Suppose the burning sky saint didn't find out the identity of this brat Chu Yang, so the Sea Demon City took action. In other words, the mayor of the Sea Demon City also wanted to kill Chu Yang. They had joined hands. The sect master of the Five Elements sect, the Fiend race, Hai Wuya, the Four Nations, and those who hoped to obtain the fortune on Emperor Island. Every one of them probably wanted Chu Yang dead. They all had the same goal. Second brother, you are now a thorn in everyone's side. If you don't die, they will feel like a fishbone stuck in their throat. You'll know when you see them. I don't mind robbing the Sea Demon City, the Four Nations, and everything else. Chu Yang smiled coldly. If they annoy me, I'll go and kill them all first. Soon, he saw the newcomers. There were 4 of them, 3 men and 1 woman. One was a black-clothed youth with a fierce aura. His eyes were like a falcon's, and his gaze was as sharp as a blade. The other was an orange-clothed man, around 25 or 26 years old. He was handsome, and his skin was white and delicate. There was also a green-clothed man who had the same aura as the orange-clothed man. However, his appearance was much worse, and his slanted eyebrows were the ugliest. The last one was a woman in white. She was pretty and had an outstanding temperament. Her neck was white and long like a swan's neck. However, she was arrogant, holding her head high like a rooster. Jin Jinghao, Lui Shu, Xiang Fei, and Su Linger met with Chu Yang. They reported their names, and their eyes fell on Chu Yang, sizing him up carefully. "This is the first young master's letter of challenge to you. Please accept it." Jin Jinghao directly handed over a blood-red invitation. Chapter 763. Humans, living in different regions, would have different customs and habits, different cultures, different languages, and so on. The greater the region, the greater the difference. Even the skin color would be different. All kinds of differences would lead to comparisons and feelings of superiority. There would also be racial discrimination and regional discrimination. Of course, Chu Yang didn't care about discrimination. He only noticed the differences in Jin Jinghao, Lui Shu, Xiang Fei, and Su Ling. Of course, their skin color was the same, and their language was the same. However, there were some differences. For example, Jin Jinghao had a very distinct smell of the sea. It could be said that he often lived by the sea, and he was a sea demon guard. Lu Yishu and Su Ling not only had the aura of being pampered, but they also had a strong secular aura. They should be the descendants of some nobles or even members of the royal family. In other words, they could be understood as people from 2 of the 4 countries. Xiang Fei's aura was that of a sect. He was either from the Longhu sect or the 7 Stars sect. These 4 people were not the only ones who came. Many people followed behind them to watch the show. It seemed that they had been informed before they came. At this moment, all eyes were on Chu Yang, but many of them were obviously not here to watch the show. Some people were also secretly observing Chu Yang. Chu Yang's divine perception was very sharp. How could this be hidden from him? Now, he could almost confirm 2 things. First, they had to join hands to get rid of anyone who had designs on the Emperor Island. This was to prevent Chu Yang from kicking all of them aside and taking all the spoils for himself. Second, with his current identity as a child, he could hold back 10,000 people. They all thought that the child had become an obstacle to killing him and had to be cleared up. As for why they had revealed such a big flaw, perhaps they really thought Chu Yang was a child, or perhaps the person in charge of this matter was stupid, or perhaps they didn't think it was a flaw at all. Who knew the reason? Chu Yang didn't care about the reason. He only cared about his mood, which was a little bad. The eldest young master asked us to deliver this letter of challenge to you. In 3 days, the eldest young master will fight you at the Boomerang Cove of the Sea Demon City. Please be prepared. Chu Yang didn't say anything, nor did he accept the challenge. Jin Jinghao couldn't help but ask again. Scram! A wicked smile suddenly appeared on Chu Yang's face as he spat out a word. Although the voice was young and tender, it was as loud as thunder and rumbled. What? Jin Jinghao Feng couldn't react in time. He didn't expect that Chu Yang would just say "get lost" and send him away. Jin Jinghao had thought of many possible scenarios, but he had never thought that Chu Yang would only tell him to get lost in the end. It was as if he was driving away a fly. It was very disgusting. Jin Jinghao felt like he was driving away a fly. But he didn't think that Chu Yang would only say "get lost" in the end. Lu Yishu, Xiang Fei, and Su Ling were also very shocked. Many of the spectators were also dumbfounded. Then, they burst into an uproar. Arrogant, he was really arrogant. The level of arrogance of this little brat was so high that Hai Xinghai's arrogance was nothing. Hai Xinghai's arrogance was that if he said he wanted to fight you, then he would fight you. He would set the time and place, and you could only listen to him obediently. Hai Xinghai didn't see this little brat as an opponent, nor did he put this little brat Chu Yang in his eyes. Everyone even suspected that if this little brat didn't teach Hai Xinglong a lesson, he might not even look at this little brat. Chapter 764. However, the little brat in front of everyone was implying, Hai Xinghai, who are you? You're just a fly. If you're qualified to fight with me, why don't you take a piss and look in the mirror first? Chu Yang's little face was full of disgust, which stimulated everyone's mind even more. After saying that, he turned around and left. Stop! Jin Jinghao had the intention of dying when his master was humiliated. With a swoosh, he blocked Chu Yang's path and said coldly, What, weren't you very arrogant? Now you're scared and want to run away? It was ridiculous that an adult would say such words to a child. It was absolutely ridiculous. However, no one found it funny. Who would treat such a ferocious little brat as a child? Look at what he had done. Don't you understand my words? Is the word scram hard to understand? Chu Yang raised his eyes and glanced at Jin Jinghao. What kind of master is this? What kind of servant is this? It's terrible to be uneducated. You don't even know what scram means. I really admit defeat. He, Chao Ju, the Silver Wolf, and Jin Duo heard Chu Yang's words and couldn't help but laugh in their hearts. Wait, you'll see how ferocious our little nephew is. They were already waiting to watch a good show. Everyone present was speechless. This little brat's mouth was poisonous. Jin Jinghao was the one who was the most irritated. It was terrible to be uneducated. He inexplicably became one of them. What kind of disdain and contempt was this? If you're afraid of the eldest young master, immediately kneel down and apologize. The eldest young master is magnanimous and will forgive you for offending the second young master this time. Offended? Chu Yang glared. You dare to say that I offended him? The so-called second young master you're talking about is the idiot who I had the honor of being hit by a brick? It was the first time I learned from my idol and hit someone with a brick. He was the first. It was his honor. Go back and take a look at your master's ancestral grave. I can guarantee that it's already smoking. You, Jin Jinghao was so angry that his whole body trembled. No one knew if the ancestral grave of the Sea Demon City's city lord was emitting smoke, but Jin Jinghao was already fuming. What shocked everyone was that Jin Jinghao hadn't killed anyone yet. When did the ocean demon guards become so patient and polite? Your idol is Chu Yang, right? Your idol is definitely not afraid of battle. You are simply discrediting your idol. The only woman among the four, Su Ling stood out with her head held high. Her arrogance could not be concealed in the slightest. Chu Yang chuckled in his heart. You're trying so hard to force me to make a move just so you can find out my strength and background. How could it be so easy? Naturally, he also knew what they were afraid of, his background as a brat. However, he was already so astonishing at the age of 7 or 8. If it wasn't for some great power, who could nurture such a child? Therefore, they did not dare to force him too much. In fact, in order to force him to make a move, they tried every possible way to find a reason to ensure that their actions could be justified. When the time came to investigate, they would have an excuse. Otherwise, there would be no need to go through so much trouble. A child could be killed with a knife. As for the letter of challenge, there was even less of a need for that. They could just make a move directly. There was no need for you to agree. Where did this bitch come from? A male dog is not enough. A female dog jumped out and barked in my ear. Chapter 765. Bitch. Su Ling was so angry that her face and neck instantly turned red. She gnashed her teeth, and her gaze was like a poisonous snake that was looking for a person to devour. She couldn't wait to eat Chu Yang alive. How noble was her status! She was compared to a dog. No one dared to humiliate her like this. Anyone who dared to humiliate her was dead. Oh, by the way, I want to eat dog meat. Chu Yang stared at Su Ling's belly. Is there a puppy in your belly? If there isn't, I'll stew it for you. How dare you? Su Ling was furious, but Chu Yang's eyes were cold. When he glared at her, the man called Xiang Fei had already stood in front of Su Ling. You're young and ignorant, so you're not behaving appropriately. Eldest young master only wants to restrain you a little. Xiang Fei's pupils shrank. It seems that young master is right. You do need to restrain yourself. If you think you can do whatever you want in Sea Demon City, you might as well go through young master first. That's right. Lu Yishu also spoke. If you win, young master naturally has no right to restrain you. You can do whatever you want. So polite. What are they suspecting about my identity? Restrain me? Chu Yang suddenly smiled coldly as if he had been greatly humiliated. He said coldly, What bullshit, young master! How dare he restrain me? Who does he think he is? How dare he put on airs in front of me? He really thinks he's someone important. Everyone was shocked again. The brat in front of them was so arrogant. Young Master Hai Xinghai of Sea Demon City was just a dog fart in his eyes. Also, you 3 male dogs and this bitch, get the hell out of here. Chu Yang pointed at them. If you talk nonsense in front of me again, I'll stew you. Male dogs. Bitches. He. Chao Ju and the others were overjoyed. Sure enough, this was their ferocious nephew. His mouth was the same as his father, the great evildoer Chu. Jin Jinghao and the other three were furious. Do you think you can refuse eldest young master's request? Jin Jinghao shouted coldly. Then, with a shake of his hand, the letter of challenge in his hand instantly shot towards Chu Yang like a flying knife. Pung! Halfway through the letter of challenge, a flame suddenly appeared on it, burning it up. All of a sudden, words jumped out of the void, forming a challenge document that was fully displayed. Between the lines, there was a domineering aura that was incomparably domineering. Every word was extremely sharp and carried a great amount of pressure. The weaker ones among the crowd immediately covered their eyes and screamed as they stared at the words in the void. It was as if their eyes had been burned by the flames. At the same time, as soon as the letter of challenge was unfolded, the words in the void gathered together like tadpoles, instantly forming an incomparably dignified figure, releasing boundless majesty. This figure seemed to be an emperor. Many people present felt as if they had met an emperor for the first time and involuntarily knelt down. Rumble! Behind this figure, a vast ocean could faintly be seen. Within it, the sound of raging waves could be heard. At the point where the ocean and the sky met, there was even a sun that seemed to be rising. The rising sun from the east. What kind of existence was this? Even if it was just his shadow, there was actually a vast ocean and a vision of the rising sun behind him. Chu Yang couldn't help but squint his eyes. Such a figure was probably an almighty. Hai Shanghai must have obtained his visualization diagram. Buzz. Suddenly, the figure's body transformed into a vast ocean. It turned dark blue and then pointed at Chu Yang. Chapter 766. With just this finger, the pressure and attack contained within it could instantly crush a 9th-level ascending soul realm martial artist to death. Only a 4th or 5th level soul wheel realm martial artist could barely withstand it. This Hai Shanghai is actually so terrifying. With just a challenge letter, he could unleash such a shocking attack? Chu Yang was shocked. He naturally didn't care about such an attack, but he was shocked by such a method. It might not be Hai Shanghai's method. It should be Hai Wuya's. Hai Shanghai is only as famous as the Little Gold Rock King and the others. He definitely wouldn't have such a method. Chu Yang made a judgment in his heart. He couldn't help but sneer. Aren't you underestimating me too much? It's just a 4th or 5th level soul will realm martial artist's attack, and you want to make things difficult for me? After absorbing the energy from the desolate stone, his genius martial spirit and idiot martial spirit had reached the 2nd grade of the 2nd revolution. Although his physical body hadn't reached the 2nd grade of the 2nd revolution, he possessed 15 dragons of strength. 6 times the explosive power was 90 dragons of strength. Ignoring the domain, 50 dragons of strength was enough to battle a soul wheel realm martial artist. With 90 dragons of strength, Chu Yang could battle a 5th level soul wheel realm martial artist. However, he didn't have the intention to directly confront this illusory figure. This way, the people in the light and in the dark would have a chance to judge his background. It would be even worse if he accidentally used the technique that he usually used. Buzz. He directly used the yin-yang 4 symbols vase, hidden in his body, and broke away from the illusory figure's lock. With a swoosh, he actually escaped. A fox borrowing the tiger's might. You've revealed your true colors now. Your strength is only SOSO, and you actually dare to be so arrogant. When Jin Jinghao, Lu Yishu, and the others saw that Chu Yang actually escaped, they immediately mocked and ridiculed him. They were naturally very proud of themselves. After all, they had been sent to investigate Chu Yang's background. This meant that their strength had been recognized. Looks like this little bee, Su Ling changed her words halfway. This brat doesn't have any status or background. 3 male dogs and 1 female dog. What do you know? This is my idol style. I'm learning from my idol now. You won't understand even if I tell you. Chu Yang had a look of disdain on his face, but everyone was already bursting into laughter. This little brat really knows how to act. He still has the face to say that after escaping. Isn't that so? I think this lousy kid is extraordinary, but he's only SOSO. He is a little monster, yes, but compared to Siren City's eldest son, he is still too weak. Chu Yang retorted sarcastically, this young master is worried about the safety of ants like you. Otherwise, this young master would have gone berserk just now. The gods would have fled, and the world would have been destroyed. All of you would have died. He continued to criticize the crowd. You guys have no conscience. I've done so much for the country, for heaven and for earth. I'm so kind and great. It's fine if you guys don't help me, but you actually question me. I'm really hurt. Everyone's expression was very interesting. Ha! Then, everyone immediately burst into earth-shattering laughter. What a ferocious little nephew! As expected of a ferocious little nephew. He's just as shameless as that bastard Chu. No one can compare to him. Chao Ju, Jean Duo, and the others were impressed that Chu Yang had taught such a little nephew. Humph, you're still pretending, little brat? Let's see how long you can pretend. He's courting death. I don't think there's a need for the eldest son to do it himself. I can suppress him myself. He doesn't even dare to accept the eldest son's challenge. How capable can he be? Chapter 767. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The 4 of them immediately surrounded Chu Yang. Oh damn it. Chu Yang stomped his feet. I have a good temper and didn't teach you guys a lesson. You guys actually dared to make a move on me. If I don't teach you guys a lesson today, and leave an indelible mark in your lives, I'm not a human. Buzz. Chu Yang took out the Yin-Yang 4 symbols vase. Dense spirit chi shrouded the entire vase, and no one could see what it was. Once the domain formed by the Yin-Yang 4 symbols vase was released, it was comparable to the 9th level of the soul reincarnation realm and trapped Jin Jinghao and the other 3. Immediately, their faces turned ashen. They couldn't advance or retreat, and they were like turtles trapped in a jar. Chu Yang's face was filled with anger. Spirit chi surged in his hand and condensed into an extra-large brick. He pointed at the 4 of them. Today, I'll let you guys know what a brick feels like. Bang 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 bang. Jin Jinghao and the other 3 were hit on the head by the brick. Their heads were swollen, but they didn't faint. I feel that my idol is too benevolent. How can he strip you guys naked after you've fainted? Strip and strip. The 4 of them were so terrified that their eyes were trembling. At this moment, in front of Chu Yang, they were like 4 little sheep facing a big hungry wolf, trembling in fear. This brat is indeed extraordinary. However, when they realized it, it was too late for regret. Chu Yang restrained the 4 of them and hung them up. He touched his chin and mumbled, stripping and stripping is too troublesome. Isn't it better to burn them all? Burn. There was no such thing as the worst, only worse. Jin Jinghao, Louis Shu, and the other 3 couldn't help but be shocked. Boom. The first one to suffer was Jin Jinghao. As soon as the flames reached him, all of his clothes and hair were burned away. Oh, he screamed in agony. What are you screaming for? I'll strip you naked later. Bear with it for a while. Chu Yang said with a serious face. Otherwise, if I strip her naked, wouldn't I ruin my idol's reputation? It was too cruel. Thump, thump. When everyone saw Jin Jinghao being roasted like a pig, they couldn't help but take a few steps back, putting some distance between them and Chu Yang. Am I that scary? Chu Yang asked with his eyes wide open. Everyone immediately nodded, then immediately shook their heads. Oh, I see. Chu Yang laughed. I wasn't scary. I'm still so cute. Everyone was at a loss for words. We're going to be so scared that we're going to fall ill. Bang bang. After Lu Yishu and Xiang Fei were carefully roasted, they were completely stripped naked. Only their skin was slightly dark. Chu Yang shook his head. I'm such a failure. This is too unsightly. Why don't I use my idol's method? He stared at Su Ling. No, I beg you. Su Ling screamed in panic. Her voice was no longer arrogant. Instead, it was pleading. She was so scared that her voice was trembling. She was a woman. If she was stripped naked in front of everyone, she wouldn't be able to live anymore. Tisk! Chu Yang sneered. You're only scared now? Forget it. In order to prevent my mother from finding an excuse to beat me up, I will strip you naked. I can't do such a thing myself. Bang! He threw Su Ling directly at Qian Aoshua's feet and ordered, that woman who pretended to be my idol's woman, go strip this woman who cried when she saw the coffin. Hang her up and dry her. Then, organize a group of women to watch. Qian Aoshua's vision went dark. This was simply an unexpected disaster. She was also secretly angry. She kicked Su Ling hard and whispered, Don't drag me down with you even if you want to die. Don't you know how cruel and immoral this little brat is? The people of the Five Elements sect, Saint Child Chinin, Chao Ju, and the others were stunned when they heard Qian Aoshua, who was as cold as an iceberg, say such words. Chapter 768. That woman, who did you say was cruel and wicked? Chu Yang's ears were very sharp, and he glared at her. Qian Aoshua even wanted to die now. She angrily dragged Su Ling and left. Then, the kid didn't continue to pursue the matter, which made her feel lucky. After that, she heard the voice and knew who was unlucky in her place. You guys are just here to watch the show. Just now, you doubted and questioned my martial prowess and hurt me deeply. Now, you must make up for your sins. Stay here and watch for 3 days and 3 nights. Whoever dares to leave will have the same ending as them. Chu Yang threatened everyone, but no one dared to make a sound. There's more. Chu Yang opened his mouth again and said, I'll go back to sleep later. When I wake up, I hope that bullshit eldest young master is already kneeling here, begging me to give him a brick and bestow upon him supreme glory. Bang! 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 With that, Chu Yang moved as fast as a ghost and hit the back of Jin Jinghao's and the other two's heads with a brick. Then, he disappeared directly. Everyone present saw that not only were the 3 knocked out, but their heads were also broken. The back of his skull was also smashed open, and blood splattered out. Cruel, he's too cruel. He's too cruel. That's right, I've never seen such a lawless child. The city lord of Sea Demon City may have really hit the nail on the head this time. I think this kid must have an amazing background. Nonsense, if he didn't have an amazing background, why do you think these Sea Demon guards were so polite just now? When the kid humiliated them, they would have already attacked. Unfortunately, they couldn't endure until the end. Also, this kid is also treacherous. He pretended that he couldn't even take a challenge, and made them completely misjudge. Everyone was discussing spiritedly. For a moment, no one dared to leave. In the end, they began to talk about the yin-yang 4 symbols vase that Chu Yang took out and guessed what kind of treasure it was. However, their discussion was interrupted in less than an incense stick's worth of time. All of a sudden, the entire Sea Demon City shook violently. A huge sound came from the west side of the city. Looking from afar, one could clearly see a huge cloud of dust rising into the sky. Ah, Chu Yang, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. The sound of an injured wild beast immediately resounded. It was extremely clear. What the hell is going on? Everyone was stunned. At the west side of Sea Demon City, after that person had vented his anger for a while, he calmed down and the crowd immediately became noisy. Chu Yang, could it be that Brick Chu is attacking again? No, Brick Chu is attacking again. Who is the one who will suffer this time? Could it be the Demon Clan? But the Demon Clan was robbed by the Brick Chew and there were only a few left. There seems to be a young Ape King. Could it be the young Ape King? It shouldn't be the little Ape King. That person was furious, but I didn't sense any demonic aura. Then who could it be? Who knows, but it's definitely not an ordinary person. Everyone was very curious and wanted to inquire about the news. However, when they were about to leave, they saw Jin Jinghao and the other two hanging in the air. They couldn't help but look at each other in dismay. In the end, no one dared to move. Chu Yang's means were too immoral. None of them dared to try. If they left at that time, who knew if Chu Yang, this little brat, would go crazy? If this little brat went crazy, it would be terrible. Chu Yang. No one knew how much time had passed, but the Sea Demon City shook again, as if a giant beast was causing trouble. After that, similar situations occurred one after another. Even though the people present were very far away, they could still sense that Siren City was greatly damaged, just like before. Whoosh, whoosh. After the Sea Demon City regained its silence, suddenly, a burst of air-piercing sounds came. Everyone saw a person with a big bump on his head appear in midair. His anger and killing intent filled the sky. The princes of the four kingdoms, Dragon God's son and Tiger God's son of the Longhu sect. When Saint Sun Zither saw them, his heart couldn't help but thump. Oh no, I don't know if little brother has returned. If he hasn't, I'm afraid he'll be exposed. Chapter 769. The Zither Melody Saint's words were definitely not baseless. Chu Yang had a notorious record. When he first came to the Five Elements sect, he had knocked out the Five Elements Divine Sun with a brick. Although no one could guarantee that it was Chu Yang, it happened in the Five Elements sect, so it was easy to associate it with Chu Yang. Secondly, Chu Yang was extremely proficient in stealing, sneaking attacks, assassinations, and so on. It could be said that if he was second in the Eastern Wilderness, no one would dare to be first. Thirdly, Hai Xinghai had just sent people to test and provoke them, but Chu Yang immediately acted violently again. This was obviously a response to Hai Xinghai and the others. In fact, the most important thing was a martial artist's intuition. Once a martial artist cultivated to a certain degree, they would be able to sense their own misfortune and fortune. They could even control their own destiny. Their perception of danger was extremely sharp. Even if they didn't know anything, they would still be able to faintly sense it. Therefore, it wasn't strange that the princes of the four countries, the Dragon Tiger sect's Dragon Godchild, Tiger Godchild, Hai Xinghai, and the others could see through it. Chu Yang, come out! The rumbling sound was like the sound of thunder, resounding through the sky. The entire Sea Demon City could hear it clearly. Suddenly, the entire Sea Demon City was alarmed. Immediately, countless figures appeared in the sky and flew over. When the people who were watching the Sea Demon Guard saw this scene, they felt that following the little brat's orders was not without benefits. After all, they were the first to see the group of arrogant geniuses. These proud sons of heaven were basically all very handsome, romantic, masculine, and feminine. Their beauty was not inferior to that of women. Of course, there were also some who were slightly more ordinary. At this moment they were standing together, but it was a bit funny. Each of them had a big bump on the back of their head, as if they were comparing whose bump was bigger and whose was smaller. The scene was a bit unimaginable, and many people forcibly held back their laughter. After all, they were either the crown prince of a country or the elites of a sect. Every one of them was extremely talented, and they were extremely famous in the Eastern Barren Territory. They were admired and revered by everyone, who would be able to see them with a huge bump on the back of their head like a blooming flower. Ha ha! It was unknown who laughed first, but it immediately ignited the entire crowd. Then, the entire crowd burst into laughter. The crown princes of the four countries, the divine sons of the Longhu sect, and the 7 Stars sect burst into laughter when they heard this. They immediately felt an uncontrollable sense of shame. Their faces were burning, and they couldn't help but look down coldly. It was as if ice water had been poured over them, and the laughter of the audience came to an abrupt end, as if a fire had been extinguished. In midair, the positions of the 4 princes directly reflected their relationship. The crown princes of Wei, Wu, Qi, and Han were all birds of a feather. Even though there was a distance between the 4 of them, they were very close to each other. Long Shenxi and Hu Shenxi of the Longhu sect stood shoulder to shoulder. They were the closest to each other and had the closest relationship. The 6 of them were in 2 small groups. At this moment, they had merged into a large group. Hai Xinghai was also a member of this group. Only a white-clothed, peach-blossom-eyed young man remained. Although his appearance was not inferior to a woman's, he was currently alone in midair. The 7 Stars divine son of the 7 Stars sect. The 7 Stars sect had the 7 Stars Saint and the 7 Stars Shenxi. They were in a competitive relationship. The strong one was the Shenxi, and the weak one was the Saint. The Zither Melody Saint looked at the arrangement of these people in midair and roughly understood that the 7 Stars sect's conscience was not completely broken. Chu Yang, you despicable person. Come out if you have the gut. The angry roar was like a landslide and a huge rock rolling down. Chapter 770. Qinin raised her head and looked over coldly. Crown Prince of the Wu Kingdom, right? Let me give you a suggestion. You'd better be more polite when you speak. My little brother has a bad temper. Maybe in the next moment it won't just be a bump on your head, but your entire head. Am I right? The Crown Prince of the Wu Kingdom jumped in fright as if he had been cut by a knife. His expression suddenly tightened as he immediately scanned his surroundings. Saint Sun Qinin's words were not exaggerated at all. Chu Yang could assassinate the Soul Devourer clan elder, Elder Qianemo, and the others. Even if the Crown Prince of the Wu Kingdom was more talented, even if he was at the 9th level of the Soul Wheel Realm, he was nothing. At this moment, the bump on the back of his head was the best proof. At the same time, the Crown Princes of the other 3 kingdoms, the 2 divine princes of the Longhu sect, and Hai Xinghai immediately tensed up as if they were facing a great enemy. In the dark, when the hidden people heard Saint Sun Qinin's words, their nerves couldn't help but tighten. Saint Sun Qinin, I didn't mean to kill Brother Chu. Isn't it a bit inappropriate for Brother Chu to do this to me? 7-Star Divine Prince suddenly spoke, causing the faces of the 4 crown princes and the others to turn gloomy as they immediately stared coldly at him. However, 7-Star Divine Prince was not afraid. He only smiled and said, although Brother Chu has helped the 7 Stars sect, I still need an explanation. Also, please return the 7-Star Sword formation and the 7-Star formation to me. Saint Sun Qinin smiled bitterly and cupped his fists at 7-Star Divine Prince. He said apologetically, 7-Star Divine Prince, my little brother has always been black-bellied. I'm afraid you can only accept this. However, it is still possible for my little brother to spit out the 7-Star Sword formation and the 7-Star formation. It would be extremely difficult to make Chu Yang spit out what he had swallowed. In that case, it is very necessary for me to write a few words on the back of my head, I am innocent. 7-Star Divine Prince also smiled bitterly. 7-Star Divine Prince, it is indeed necessary. Saint Sun Qinin made a rare joke. 7-Star Divine Prince, you, Long Shenxi of the Longhu sect suddenly stared at 7-Star Shenxi menacingly. 7-Star God's son couldn't help but sneer. Does he not know if I don't say it? Where did the bump on the back of your head come from? Even bloodthirsty beasts know this saying, because he is Chu Yang. Don't tell me that you guys don't know? Because he was Chu Yang, there was nothing he couldn't do, and there was nothing he didn't know. The Zither Melody Saint had also heard such a sentence before. Now that she heard the seven-star divine sun say it, she couldn't help but shake her head and laugh. She was even a little absent-minded. The little brother who used to be very afraid of the burning heaven-holy sun was no longer the same as before. Saint Child Zither, right? Hai Xinghai spoke. He had long hair that was the color of the deep sea. His eyes were also dark blue, deep and wide. It was as if there was an ocean in each of his eyes. When he looked at the Saint Child Zither melody, it was as if the water of two oceans poured down. The Saint Child Zither melody was fearless and met his gaze calmly. There was a buzzing sound as if something was colliding in the void. Ripples spread out chaotically and only disappeared after a while. After a round of competition, the Saint Child Zither melody pointed at Hai Xinghai. Do you want to die? Hai Xinghai didn't hold back, and the Saint Child Zither melody didn't hold back either. Sparks flew everywhere and it was extremely oppressive. It could be triggered at any time. The whole place was dead silent, especially the onlookers. They couldn't even breathe. Hai Xinghai's pupils constricted, and he looked very cold. Don't misunderstand. The Saint Child Zither melody sneered. It's not me who wants to kill you, it's my little brother who wants to kill you. I ask you to cherish your time now, or you might not have another chance next time. Chapter 771. Seeing this scene, Chao Ju, the Silver Wolf, and Jean Duoduo couldn't help but be speechless. How can I be so domineering and threaten you directly? Do you want to die? Saint Sun Chinin, huh? Such a contemptuous tone. But do you want to die? This is boundless tyranny. That bastard King Chu had actually reached such a level. The eyes of the three immediately lit up. Chu Yang was the Saint Sun Chinin's little brother, but they were also the Saint Sun Chinin's bastard. They could use the Saint Sun Chinin's tiger skin to show off everywhere. We want to invite Chu Yang to come out and meet us. The people of Sea Demon City couldn't help but gasp. They were shocked to find that the princes of the four countries had spoken in unison. It seemed that none of them had enough weight, and this Chu Yang, who they had never met, had already reached such a level, giving Hai Xinghai and the others so much pressure. You want to meet him? The Saint Sun Chinin smiled. That depends on whether my little brother is happy or not. To be honest, you don't have the qualifications to meet him. After all, you are not in the same level. Your fathers are. The Saint Sun Chinin was full of confidence. He didn't fear the oppressive gazes of the princes of the four countries because this was the truth. Whether it was the Soul Devourer clan or the Thousand Demon sect, no matter how Chu Yang did it, the undeniable fact was that Chu Yang had done it. Such a thing was definitely not something that the princes of the four countries could do. At least their fathers were needed. Therefore, Chu Yang was qualified to be on par with their fathers. Chao Ju, the Silver Wolf, and the other three smacked their lip. They felt that the Saint Sun Chinin was too awesome. The three of them could have done this, especially Chao Ju. After hearing the Saint Sun Chinin's words, Qian Aoshue's mind churned. It was as if she had bumped into a blind spot. She suddenly realized that Chu Yang was already so amazing. Do you mean to say that Chu Yang is unwilling to come out and meet me? Don't you understand what I said? It's not that he doesn't want to come out. I'm afraid that Chu Yang isn't even here. It wasn't there in the first place. It was never there. Where did it come from? The exchange of words between the Saint Child and the princes of the four kingdoms was extremely sharp. The princes of the four kingdoms couldn't gain the slightest advantage and were even ridiculed by the Saint Child. Their faces were even darker, as if they could fly into a rage at any moment. This caused the onlookers to be extremely shocked. They felt that a huge storm was about to erupt. However, when they looked at Saint Zither, he was extremely calm. That calmness made them wonder if the crown princes of the four countries were not covered in dark clouds at all. Instead, they were smiling like flowers. Chu Yang isn't here, but that little brat should be. Hai Xinghai's change in method made Saint Sun Zither's heart skip a beat. He really didn't know whether Chu Yang had rushed back or not. If Chu Yang was somewhere and counting the spoils of war, then he would be completely exposed. If you want to see the little young master, I'm afraid you are even less qualified. Saint Sun Zither was still calm. His tone was even more overbearing and arrogant. Also, I'll give you another suggestion. When it comes to the little young master, you better keep your mouth shut. Don't say that I didn't warn you. Humph. That little brat isn't even here, right? Get him to come out and see me immediately. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Facing their faint threats, Saint Sun Zither laughed. Do you think I can order the little young master around? If you want to see him, you can go in yourself. Also, Saint Sun Zither laughed again. Remember, don't say that I'm tricking you. If your parents look into it, I hope that you can explain it clearly. I've already done my duty to warn you. Humph. You don't have to worry. Swish. Swish. Chapter 772. Saint Child Chinin and that bastard Chu, what are they trying to do? Don't make a mistake. Chao Ju and the other two couldn't help but worry. Whoosh. However, just as the four princes and Hai Xinghai entered, a small figure shot out and appeared beside the Saint Child Chinin. She covered her mouth with her fair hands and yawned. Then, she stretched and said in dissatisfaction, Why is it so noisy outside? Can't you let me sleep? The onlookers were immediately dumbfounded. Who else could this small figure be if it wasn't that rotten brat? Whoosh, whoosh. The princes of the four countries brushed past Chu Yang halfway. They immediately returned and stood proudly in the air. Their gazes were as sharp as swords as they looked at Chu Yang. It seemed as if they wanted to see through Chu Yang from the inside out. Buzz. Hai Xinghai suddenly took out a mirror. The mirror trembled and a beam of light shone on Chu Yang's body. You think I'm a monster? That demon-revealing mirror is shining on me. Chu Yang was furious. He jumped up 3 feet high and said angrily, Bastard, you're the monsters. Your whole family is monsters. Everyone's expression became strange. He was indeed a child. Was there a need to react so violently after being shown on by the mirror? Hai Xinghai frowned. He was surprised by the result of the mirror. The brat in front of him was really only 7 or 8 years old. The four princes, Dragon God's son and Tiger God's son of the Longhu sect, were also shocked. You bastard, I'm scolding you. Why are you acting so profound? Can't you give me a reaction? Otherwise, it would seem that I'm not good at scolding people. Chu Yang stomped his feet and scolded again. Cruel little nephew, they want to see if you're the bastard Chu. Bang. Just as Jin Duo opened his mouth, a brick hit the back of his head. Tisk! Chu Yang glared at Jin Duo with his beautiful big eyes and angrily rebuked. You little thing, who is your little nephew? It was a slip of the tongue. Jin Duo held his head and immediately declared. That's more like it. Chu Yang was satisfied. Then, he rubbed his chin with his small hand. You think that I'm my idol? This should be a merit and not a fault, right? He beamed with joy and looked at Hai Xinghai and the others. You guys really have good taste, especially that thing with the mirror. I give you a thumbs up. Chu Yang gave Hai Xinghai a thumbs up, his little face smiling like a flower. You're the brat who humiliated my little brother. Hai Xinghai's dark blue eyes looked down from the sky, shooting out 2 dark blue rays of light. Oh my, your eyes can even shine. Chu Yang used the yin-yang 4 symbols vase to get rid of it. He screamed and dodged. Then, he remembered something and suddenly became angry. That's not right, why should I dodge? Wouldn't this affect my righteous image? His little finger immediately poked at Hai Xinghai and scolded. Also, I #$###. That thing, who did you call a brat just now? You better explain clearly, or else I'll beat all your teeth out. He didn't stop. Also, don't think that you can be arrogant just because I praised you just now. Let's not talk about other things, only I can be arrogant here. You better immediately correct yourself, or else I'll make you regret it. Rumble. Hai Xinghai didn't answer. Instead, he directly punched down towards Chu Yang from midair. Instantly, the spirit chi surged, and in an instant, the ocean waves surged. The scene of a huge wave that reached the sky appeared and turned into a huge white shark. It formed a group of white sharks and pounced down. Chapter 773. The white sharks were like an army of millions charging forward, while the sea snakes were like assassins trying to take the head of the enemy's general. One righteous and one strange, one yin and one yang. The moment Hai Xinghai attacked, it contained the righteous and strange yin and yang. It was extremely shocking. The vigorous attack covered an extremely wide area and sealed off all of Chu Yang's escape route. There was no way to dodge, and there was no way to dodge. The strength of a 9th-level soul reincarnation realm expert was completely displayed. That's what I'm thinking. Chu Yang's eyes gleamed. Everyone's battle style would more or less have their own unique characteristic. Naturally, he had his own. If he was in a battle with Hai Xinghai, he would definitely use his most powerful moves. At that time, his identity would be completely exposed. I can't use the third revolution of the Chi Soul. I can't use the third revolution of the Origin Martial. Body cultivation was one of Chu Yang's most obvious characteristics. I can't use the 7 Annihilation Sword. I can't use the 9 Dragon's Bell. I can't use the Heavenly Rock Feather either. Chu Yang realized that he had no way of blocking such an attack. However, he didn't have time to think too much. Roar. Chu Yang opened his mouth and roared. Lion's roar. All of a sudden, he seemed to have transformed into a majestic lion. His roar shook the sky, covering the sound of the raging waves. A huge sound wave rushed out, forming visible shock waves in the air, rushing towards the group of white sharks and sea snake. Bang, bang, bang. Many white sharks and sea snakes exploded, but there were still many huge white sharks and swimming sea snakes behind them. They covered the sky and the sun as they rushed over. The lion's roar contains the intent of intimidation. It can disperse the will of Hai Xinghai among the white sharks and sea snakes. However, on top of that, there's still a limit to its power. The attack of a 9th-level soul circulation realm expert is indeed terrifying. Chu Yang thought in his heart, but he cursed out loud, "You bastard. You think you can scare me with your cultivation? I'll use my treasure to bully you." He immediately took out the yin-yang 4 symbols bottle. As the yin-yang 4 symbols bottle buzzed, it instantly released its domain. Like a bottomless abyss, it swallowed all the white sharks, sea snakes, and seawater. Hai Xinghai's attack was instantly nullified. The void immediately calmed down. What kind of treasure is that? Whoosh, whoosh. It was not only Hai Xinghai. The 4 princes and the others all looked at the yin-yang 4 symbols vase, but they could not see it clearly. Buzz. Hai Xinghai also released his own domain. When the 2 domains collided, it was as if 2 huge millstones were grinding against each other. It was as if 2 giants were wrestling. Their domains were equally matched. What? Hai Xinghai's eyes widened in shock. Hai Xinghai's domain was also a 9-fold domain. However, Hai Xinghai was not an artifact. Yet, his domain was blocked. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Without any warning, the 4 princes and Dragon Shensi and Tiger Shensi of the Longhu sect also released their own domains. It was as if 6 giants had jumped out from the void and smashed towards Chu Yang's domain. Preemptive strike. They want to kill me. Chu Yang could clearly feel their killing intent. It did not matter if he was Chu Yang or not. If it was Chu Yang, it would be even more so. Otherwise, if Chu Yang were to explode, Hai Xinghai and the others would probably be killed by Chu Yang. They attacked first and trapped Chu Yang. Chu Yang would not have a chance. This is bad. The Saint Child's eyelids twitched, but he did not attack. If he attacked, he and Chu Yang were only 2 people. They would definitely not be a match for him. Chapter 774. Rumble. Everything there soon collapsed and was completely razed to the ground. Huge ripples spread out in the void and strong winds blew. Damn it, these 7 things are all trash. They can't even see through the concealment of spirit chi. Can't they see that this is the yin-yang 4 symbols vase? These 7 trash can't see through it, but can't those old monsters hiding in the dark recognize it? Hai Shanghai and the others alone couldn't kill Chu Yang. Chu Yang could use the Origin Martial 3rd Transformation, Chi Soul 3rd Transformation, Golden Origin, Heavenly Rock Wings, 7 Kill Sword, 9 Dragon Bell, and so on to tear open a hole and escape. The other party naturally thought of this and hid a few old monsters in the dark. They were waiting to confirm Chu Yang's identity and kill him in one blow. Chu Yang understood all of this. He originally thought that the other party would recognize the yin-yang 4 symbols vase. Then, he could use the Gongsun clan to do whatever he wanted. But who would have thought that it would turn out like this? Indeed, one careless move and the whole game would be lost. Chu Yang, you will definitely die this time. No one can save you. Hai Shanghai sneered. You think your disguise is very clever? What a joke. The Crown Prince of Wei Kingdom also said coldly, so what if you are not Chu Yang? You will still die. I don't care who you are. In this eastern wilderness you are nothing. We are the masters of this place. Chu Yang, I will return the humiliation that you have given us in full. I will make you beg for death. The 7 people were full of killing intent and mocking. At the same time, they were also secretly observing Saint Child Zither Melody's reaction. Seeing that Saint Child Zither Melody was not anxious at all and had no intention of attacking, they couldn't help but be suspicious. Do you think I am a vegetarian? The domain formed by the yin-yang 4 symbols vase had long been distorted and the vase was even about to crack. The pressure was finally transmitted to Chu Yang's body. His entire body was being squeezed, and his delicate little face was already deformed. He felt as if he was in the deep sea, being squeezed by endless pressure from all directions. His internal organs were in intense pain, as if they were about to explode. In the face of danger, Chu Yang did not panic. He even missed the feeling of being oppressed like this and being on the verge of death. He had not felt this kind of pressure for a long time. Recently, he had been talking nonsense and his cultivation had stagnated. At this moment, this kind of pressure reappeared, and everything was finally starting again. The genius martial spirit, the universal manifestation apparatus, and himself. All kinds of thoughts flashed in his mind. However, before he was satisfied, he found a way to deal with it. A bunch of trash. He was dissatisfied and disdainful. Under the cover of the dense spiritual energy, he put the reincarnation gourd into the yin-yang 4 symbols vase. The 4 symbols vase of yin and yang absorbed the body, and the reincarnation gourd absorbed the soul. One was like a human's body, and the other was like a human's soul. When the two merged, it would be like the fusion of the soul and flesh. It would definitely produce a great change. Rumble. Sure enough, the moment the reincarnation gourd entered the 4 symbols vase of yin and yang, the two merged into one and burst out with a great power. Then, a change occurred. 1. The space around the 4 symbols vase of yin and yang seemed to have collapsed. The worldly essence chi in all directions was swallowed, and it suddenly expanded to the size of a small mountain. The mouth of the vase was dark and a huge whirlpool appeared, swallowing all the light. On the body of the vase, the dragon-shaped curve that divided the black and white chi on all sides transformed into 100-feet-long dragon and coiled around it. The black and white chi continued to surge out from it. With the 4 symbols vase as the center, it formed a huge yin-yang diagram and set up a huge array. After that, yin and yang gave birth to the 4 symbols. The yin-yang diagram changed again, forming the 4 symbols great array. Immediately, the phantoms of the azure dragon, black tortoise, white tiger, and vermilion bird appeared. They guarded the 4 directions and resisted the pressure of the 7 domains. At this moment, the 4 symbols vase of yin and yang emitted an aura that was completely different from before. It was as if the entire world was its domain for the 4 symbols vase of yin and yang. A spirit realm artifact. A spirit realm artifact suddenly increased to a spirit realm artifact? How is this possible? This, Hai Xinghai and the other 6 couldn't help but widen their eyes in shock. Chapter 775. The Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase. The Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase of the Gongsun family in the East Continent. It was as if someone had discovered a great terror. A terrifying and old voice suddenly sounded. Then, a bald old man who had been hiding in the void appeared. His eyes were like those of a dead man. He looked at the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase and his eyes had turned white. In addition to the bald old man, there were 7 or 8 other old men in the void. All of them had a horrified expression on their faces. It was as if they suddenly realized that they were standing in front of a ferocious tiger's mouth. Yin and Yang 4 Symbols. This should be the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase of the Gongsun family in the East Continent. This is a replica of the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase. I heard that the Gongsun family owns replicas of the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase, and all of them are direct descendants of the Gongsun family. At this moment, the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase revealed its true appearance. Many people in the Sea Demon City were shocked. The Eastern Wilderness was not isolated from the East Continent. Chu Yang's elder brother, Chu Fei, had been to the East Continent. Of course, Chu Fei was not the only one who had been to the East Continent. This was one of the reasons why Chu Yang had carried out his plan. The Gongsun family of the East Continent was a direct descendant. When Hai Xinghai, the princes of the 4 countries, and the 2 divine princes of the Longhu sect heard this, they felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Their skin and flesh were split open, their bones were broken, and their tendons were broken. They were as black as charcoal, and their divine souls were completely destroyed by the lightning. At this moment, the 7 of them were all trembling. Even the domains they released were trembling. What did they do just now? No matter whether the kid in front of them was Chu Yang or not, or what his identity was, he would definitely die because they were the masters of the Eastern Wilderness. Recalling their previous clamor, killing intent, and sarcasm, the 7 of them trembled even more violently. They actually wanted to kill a direct descendant of the Gongsun family. They even sneered and were high and mighty, and they even announced to the direct descendant of the Gongsun family that they were the masters. The 7 of them really wished they could take back all the urine they had spilled and eat all the feces they had pooped. However, even if they were willing, they wouldn't have the chance to do so. Humph! Do you think that you are some kind of formidable foe? Before the Gongsun clan, all of you are nothing but spineless cowards. Chu Yang despised the Gongsun family in his heart. But from the reactions of the 7 people, he also deeply felt the power of the Gongsun family. It was absolutely famous and famous in the East Continent. He couldn't help but feel a huge pressure in his heart. At this moment, he finally understood why the Zither-Tun Saint Child was always so worried. Young Master Gongsun, we were blind. Please forgive us. The bald old man had already knelt down in front of Chu Yang in the void. Young Master Gongsun? Chu Yang's delicate face tightened for the first time. The pupils in his big, pure eyes seemed to be vertical. Gongsun Long is just a dog in front of me. I asked him to meow like a cat, but he didn't dare to meow like a dog. The Gongsun family is just a piece of shit. The compound surname Gongsun is just a lowly surname. He stared at the bald old man coldly. How dare you put the lowly surname Gongsun on my head? I will kill your entire family, Gongsun Long. The Gongsun family is just a piece of shit. Gongsun is just a lowly surname. As Chu Yang dragged out his voice, the bald old man, all the other old men, as well as Hai Shanghai and the others, suddenly trembled violently. Chapter 776. This series of situations was just like Hai Shanghai and the others. They had just confirmed that Chu Yang was an evil ghost and they were scared half to death. However, they were shocked to find that Chu Yang was actually an even more terrifying demon than an evil ghost. He was even an ultimate evil existence. The panic and fear in their hearts were indescribable. They were so scared that they almost fainted. Hearing Chu Yang's childish voice, the saint child's eyelids twitched. What a boastful boast! The sky is about to be broken. Not to mention Hai Shanghai and the others, even he was scared half to death by Chu Yang. He felt that if Chu Yang was given a cat's fur, he could pretend to be a tiger. If he was given a bug, he could pretend to be a dragon. If he was given a bit of sunlight, he could even make a sun. If he was given a bamboo stick, he could even stab the heavens down. The saint child was scared out of his wits. Hai Shanghai and the others were not scared out of their wits, but he was. Then, he laughed bitterly in his heart. Gongsun is a lowly surname. Even my little brother is scolding me as well. Since it was a lowly surname, he naturally had to change it. The saint child decided to change his surname. From now on, he would follow his mother's surname. As for Chao Ju, Jean Duoduo, and the Silver Wolf, they felt that he was very powerful. For the first time, they were sure that this brat was not Chu Yang's son, not their cruel little nephew. Little young master, the ignorant are innocent. The bald old man opened his mouth. But, he hadn't finished speaking when he was interrupted by Chu Yang's furious voice. The ignorant are not guilty. Fine, I admit it. However, he turned around and said coldly, I'm innocent too. If I kill you like chickens, ducks, pigs, sheep, and dogs, I won't be guilty. After all, I didn't know you were human. Don't you think so? Little young master, we'll apologize to you. We'll apologize to you. All the old men knelt down. If apologies are useful, then what's the use of fists? Chu Yang clenched his small fists so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. Little young master, please spare us. If begging is useful, why do we need knives? Young master, my ass. Chu Yang poked Hai Shanghai and the others with his little finger. Look, is this how you apologize to me and beg for mercy? It's just 7 or 8 chickens, ducks, pigs, and dogs. How dare they stand there and watch the show? It doesn't seem to have anything to do with them. Am I right? When the few elders heard this, they raised their eyes and saw Hai Shanghai's group of 7 standing there like wooden poles. Their eyes couldn't help but darken and they almost fainted. Now, is it the time for you to be noble and put on airs? All of you are nothing in front of this young master. The few old men felt that they had truly angered Chu Yang. If they were in Chu Yang's shoes, they probably wouldn't have let them off either. With a plop, Hai Shanghai and the others, because of their pride, even though they saw the bald old man and the others kneel down, they still did not kneel down. However, at this moment they could not hold on any longer and all knelt down. Little young master, please spare our lives. We were blind and offended, little young master. We deserve to die. Deserve to die? Do you really think so? Chu Yang suddenly said darkly, do you really think I'm stupid? Let me tell you today, all of you will die. Whatever country or sect you are from, they will all be razed to the ground. Among Hai Shanghai and the others, because of the humiliation, there were people who immediately showed a fierce expression. It was as if they were about to lose their gut. Yes, this is the reaction I wanted. Chapter 777. Young master, we don't have that intention. The bald old man quickly extinguished the fire. Young master, punish them as you wish. If they don't agree, I will kill them for young master. I won't let young master dirty his hands. This bald old man really wanted to kill now. You guys still want to have dirty thoughts. So what if you kill the young master in front of you? You will only die more miserably and the consequences will be more serious. Not only this old man, the other old men were also very angry. Hai Xinghai and the other 6 were used to being noble in the eastern wilderness. They could understand that they couldn't lower their voices. But what they couldn't understand was, are these 7 really stupid? Don't they know that this young master in front of them has nothing to fear? They immediately followed behind the bald old man and joined together, fearing that they would fall behind by even half a step. Young master, spare us. We don't have any intention of being disrespectful, and we don't dare to harm you. Hai Xinghai and the other 6 kowtowed again and again, begging for mercy. Hee hee. Chu Yang let out a strange chuckle, very interesting. But, I must force you guys into a corner today like a cornered dog jumping over a wall and a rabbit biting a person. I will force you to kill me. What do you think? This idea is not bad, right? Young master, please forgive us. Young master, spare us. Begging for mercy was everywhere. Chu Yang's smiling face suddenly changed. Suddenly, he roared, "Why don't you jump? Why don't you come and kill me? Come, I want to see who will be the coward today, and who will die here. We offended young master, we deserve to die." The bald old man and the others let out a long sigh of relief. Chu Yang's anger was much cuter than his strange laughter. They also felt that there was still a chance to redeem themselves. They begged for mercy and lowered their attitude to the lowest. All of you are a bunch of cowards, a bunch of spineless things, especially you guys. Chu Yang continued his performance. He pointed his little finger at Hai Xinghai and the other 6 again and continued to humiliate them. You have the nerve to say that. What kind of geniuses are you? I think you are all just bullshit. You don't even care about your dignity. You are all lowly. I look down on you guys even more now. Who do you think you are? However, no matter how he humiliated them, Hai Xinghai and the others kept on begging for mercy. Everyone who saw this was in an uproar, and they were extremely shocked. As for the 3 sea demon guards who were originally hung up, it seemed that just knocking them unconscious, stripping them naked, and hanging them up to dry was already a light punishment. Now, their masters had no choice but to kneel and beg for mercy. Chu Yang scolded them for a while. His mouth was dry, and he finally made a judgment. I can tell you that you will die without a doubt. The crime of killing me is a small one, but the 2 crimes are more serious. I will not spare you. Firstly, I've always been the one to gang up on others. This is the first time since I was born that I've been beaten up by a group of people. It's a great humiliation that I'll never be able to wash away. Secondly, this young master finally found a place to play and ran over to this corner. Just when I was having fun, you actually forced this young master to reveal his identity. As he spoke, he seemed to be enraged. Then, he flew into a rage again. Now, tell me, where do you want me to play? Where do you want me to play? Bang, bang, bang. Chu Yang vented his anger. He punched and kicked these old men, as well as Hai Xinghai and the others, and they were all sent flying. However, they did not dare to complain. After they were sent flying, they immediately came back and knelt on the ground, allowing Chu Yang to punch and kick them again. As for their feelings, there was no way to know. After a few times, Chu Yang seemed to have vented his anger. He made a final judgment. Old things, you've repented well. You can escape a little. Although you've repented well, your sins are unforgivable. I'll give you a chance to commit suicide. Now I'll ask you to commit suicide. How could he let Hai Xinghai and the others commit suicide? If he forced them into a corner, they would really be driven to desperation. Saint Child Zither's heart skipped a beat. Little brother, this is too risky. However, there was no other way. Chu Yang's acting was too big. It was a bit difficult to get off the tiger. If he did not do this, Hai Xinghai and the others would be suspicious. However, if he did this, it would be too risky. it would be easy to collapse. Now, the key is how Hai Shanghai and the others will deal with it. Chapter 778. When Chu Yang ordered Hai Shanghai and the others to commit suicide, the zither melody Saint Child's heartstrings were completely taut. However, the situation was not as bad as he had imagined. Hai Shanghai and the others were not good enough, but the elders were good enough to deal with a playboy like Chu Yang, a devil incarnate. Chu Yang was such a scoundrel and a bastard. He could only appease him. Little young master, they are indeed the evilest. However, letting them commit suicide is letting them off too easily. Why don't we let the 7 of them work hard and find a place for little young master to play? The bald elder was a perfect combination of a dog-headed strategist and a lackey. He flattered and invisibly flattered Chu Yang, flattering Chu Yang. A place to play? Where else can I play? Chu Yang went with the flow. His pure eyes shone with joy. I can still find other places to play? I am not well educated. You better not lie to me. How would this servant dare? The bald elder laughed. Little young master, do you know Emperor Island? Emperor Island. Chu Yang glared at him and said, You old thing, are you looking down on me? How can I not know where my idol is going? This servant has sinned. The bald elder knelt down and apologized skillfully. Then, he said, Emperor Island can be considered a place to play. The monsters trapped there definitely don't know little young master's identity. Little young master should be able to play for a while. At that time, when little young master comes out of Emperor Island, they will definitely give little young master a satisfactory answer. The delaying tactic was to get through this first. After a while, Chu Yang's anger would subside, and it would be easier to deal with them. Haha, as expected of an old thing. You are so thoughtful. Chu Yang patted the bald elder's head and laughed. Out of the 2 sins, only one is gone. They still have to die for the other. It has always been me ganging up on others. I have never been ganged up on by others before. Hai Shanghai and the others were criminals. This made the bald old man's mouth twitch. Only a little demon king like Chu Yang would say that this was a crime, and a serious one at that. Young master, this is an extremely heinous crime. At the very least, they should be torn apart and hacked into pieces. Allowing them to commit suicide is simply letting them off too lightly. When Chu Yang heard this, he thought to himself, You old thing, you really are an expert in dealing with the little demon king. That's right. This is indeed my kindness to them. Otherwise, why would I let them off so easily? The bald old man followed up and said, Young master is right. Killing them 1,000 or 10,000 times is not enough to vent our hatred. That's why this servant thinks that we must make them beg for death. Old thing, do you have any good suggestions? Young master, what do you think about finding a group of people every day, like O-kun and the others? Ha ha. Chu Yang clapped his hands and laughed. Not bad, not bad. This is indeed a good idea. Then, he looked at Hai Shanghai and the others. Little things, you ganged up on me once, so I will gang up on you 10,000 times. To Hai Shanghai and the others, this was a great humiliation. However, they could only shout in unison, Thank you, young master, for your mercy. Ha ha. Chu Yang laughed heartily as he walked over. He gave each of them a slap with his small hand and lectured them, You playthings, I'll spare your lowly lives. But you better remember, you better find a place where I can play, otherwise. Rumble! While Chu Yang was lecturing Hai Shanghai and the others, a loud noise suddenly came from the direction of the demon territory. The sky and the earth were turned upside down. Even in the sea demon city, one could clearly see smoke and dust rising to the sky. Light flashed, and even the entire sea demon city shook slightly. Chapter 779. Chu Yang stomped his feet and cursed loudly, but the loud noise was even more intense. Screech, in the direction of the monster territory, a loud rock cry suddenly rang out, resounding through the heavens and earth. When the sound came from afar, everyone could clearly hear it. When everyone looked up, they saw a great winged golden rock that was almost a few hundred feet in size soaring into the sky. It spread its wings and soared into the sky like a rising golden sun. Then, this huge big-winged gold rock bird swooped down. Immediately, a loud rumble shook the heavens again, and the sea demon city trembled even more intensely. Roar! A huge 9-headed lion that was like a mountain suddenly appeared behind the big-winged gold rock bird. The 9 lion heads roared in unison, and the roar shook the 9 heavens. Whoosh whoosh! Even though they were far away and couldn't see the sound waves from the 9-headed lion's roar, from the direction of the monster territory, a hurricane swept over. When it reached the sea demon city, the wind was still strong and the sound waves were loud. Then, another white tiger the size of a mountain appeared. From it, a stream of blood rushed into the 9 heavens. There was a blood river that coiled around its body like a huge dragon. Its murderous aura soared into the sky and filled the surroundings. In addition, a giant ape appeared in a frenzy. A giant also appeared. A 9-tailed fox with several tails swept across like a big broom, flattening the mountains. The Rock King, the Lion King, the Tiger King, the Ape King, the Three-Eyed King, the Fox King, and the other kings of the monster territory all appeared. The sea demon city was shaken, and it was noisy. At Chu Yang's side, whether it was the bald old man, Hai Shanghai, the princes of the 4 kingdoms, the 2 divine sons of the Longhu sect, the 7-star divine son, the saint child of Guqin Sound, and so on, everyone looked over and paid attention to the situation there. At the same time, it was also noisy. What happened in the monster territory? How did it trigger such an earth-shattering battle? Almost all the kings of the demon region have appeared one by one. Who has the strength to anger them? Could it be that the 4 kingdoms and 4 sects? No, the 4 kingdoms and 3 sects, after destroying the Soul Devourer clan, intend to destroy the Monster clan before the Emperor Island opens. That's possible. The 4 kingdoms and 3 sects don't want the monster territory on Emperor Island. Chu Yang naturally wanted to know the situation there as well. In addition, he already had a guess in his heart. Perhaps the news he sent out had been verified. The 4 countries and 3 sects could no longer hold back and attacked the demon clan. Hai Wuya, you have half the blood of the beast race in you. Do you want to go against me as well? An angry voice suddenly came from the direction of the demon realm. Gold Rock King, it's not that I want to go against you, but what you've done is intolerable. Stealing the Eastern Wilderness's origin is something I, Hai Wuya, be it human or beast, will never allow you to do. The 4 nations and 3 sects have destroyed the demon region. Hai Wuya, the next one will be your sea demon city. Humph! This was Hai Wuya's voice. Gold Rock King, do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? You stole the Eastern Wilderness's source, and if the Eastern Wilderness's source is exhausted, this land will sink. What about my sea demon city? That's right. Another voice rumbled. Stealing the Eastern Wilderness's source is insane. No one in the Eastern Wilderness will tolerate you. Back then, the great emperor of the Eastern Wilderness was merciful and didn't exterminate the monster clan, sparing some of you. If the great emperor of the Eastern Wilderness knew that you would be so insane in the future, the monster clan would have been exterminated long ago. Gold Rock King, Lion Demon King, White Tiger King, you'd better hand over the Desolate Egg and Desolate Demon Prince. Otherwise, today is just the beginning. The entire Eastern Wilderness will come to suppress you. Don't even think about it, Emperor Wei. Rumble. Chapter 780. The demon race was actually stealing the source of the Eastern Wilderness. Everyone's discussion became even more intense. Soon, they were filled with righteous indignation. Everyone wanted to kill, everyone wanted to beat. After all, the eastern wilderness was the foundation of everyone's survival. How could they allow the demon race to destroy it? The fierce battle and shocking scene only lasted for a short period of time. Then, it strangely calmed down. Many people were surprised. Such a battle couldn't have ended so quickly. Chu Yang didn't know what was going on in the demon realm. However, he was enraged again. Bastards! Just now, those kings interrupted me when I was lecturing. My young heart was hurt. The moment Chu Yang opened his mouth, it was very dazzling, and pulled everyone's attention back to him. Then, they were left speechless. Where did you get this young heart from? You're just a little devil's heart. This old thing. Chu Yang ordered the bald old man. Pass my words to those kings. Tell them to apologize to me immediately and comfort my injured young heart. Otherwise, I'll slaughter them all. With these words, Hai Xinghai, the four princes, and the others no longer doubted Chu Yang's identity. If they didn't have the slightest bit of confidence, how could they dare to be so arrogant in front of the monster kings and their fathers? The bald old man hesitated. He felt that if he went, he would be slapped to death. Why aren't you going? Chu Yang glared at him. Why don't I wring your dog head off first and then send someone else? Yes. Little lord, I'll go immediately. The bald old man didn't dare to resist anymore. He made up his mind. After clearly stating Chu Yang's identity, he would pass on Chu Yang's order. Whoosh! He broke through the air and disappeared in an instant. Then, everyone realized that this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. The little lord, who was angry at the heavens and earth, was angry at them. Are you all blind? Are you all deaf? Are you guys stupid? Chu Yang roared repeatedly before finally revealing the reason for his anger. Why isn't anyone clapping? Could it be that this young master's appearance just now wasn't awe-inspiring, wasn't handsome, and couldn't compare to my idol? Clap my ass. You almost scared me to death. Also, where are your exclamations, your shock, and your discussions? This brat is going crazy again. Everyone was at a loss for words. They had been insulted to the point where they didn't have the slightest temper. The more Chu Yang spoke, the more dissatisfied he became. He further criticized the crowd. When my idol did something, you were all shocked for a long time. You were all talking about it non-stop. Why didn't I receive the same treatment? You little bastard, is this really the reason for your sudden outburst? Everyone began to feel uneasy. Now, I seriously suspect that you guys are discriminating against me just because my idol is from the eastern wilderness and I'm not from the eastern wilderness. Chu Yang rolled up his sleeves. This young master is angry. This young master is going to go crazy. I'm going to strip all of you naked and hang you up to dry. Hearing this, the burning heaven-holy sun began to sweat. Chu Yang really knew how to cause trouble. He made things big again and again. Not to mention the 4 countries, 3 sects, and the kings of the demon region, Chu Yang didn't even let go of those who were watching the show. Bang! Chu Yang sent Hai Xinghai flying with a kick. Then, he angrily scolded, "Are you all blocks of wood? Why are you still standing there? There are so many chickens and ducks. Hurry up and hit them with a brick. Then, strip them all naked and hang them up to dry. Can't you see? So this is what you want us to do." The princes of the 4 countries were in a mess. There were so many people below. How long would it take to strip them all naked? However, how could they not listen to the orders of this devil incarnate? If they didn't listen, they would probably be the first to be knocked unconscious, stripped naked, and hung up to dry. Damn Chu Yang, I will definitely tear you to pieces. They blamed all of their humiliation, hatred, anger, and guilt on Chu Yang. If it wasn't for Chu Yang, how could they have met this devil incarnate and fallen into this pit? When they saw the vast crowd, their vision couldn't help but turn black. Chapter 781. It was a crime to watch the show. When the people of Sea Demon City heard that they were going to be stripped naked, they really panicked this time. They let out all kinds of terrified cries and discussions as if their eyebrows were on fire. Oh my God, what did I just see? Our Sea Demon City's peerless genius, Hai Shanghai, actually knelt down. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. The princes of the 4 countries and the divine son of the Longhu sect all knelt down. This young master is really amazing. He's more than amazing. You've seen a group of geniuses kneel down at the same time, but I've never seen it before. Not only that, the princes of the 4 countries, the Longhu sect, and the Sea Demon City all let him beat them up, and they didn't even dare to fart. If it was before, I wouldn't even dare to think about it. They're so amazing in front of us, but in front of that brat, no, in front of that young master, they're not even farts. They're worse than dogs. I think they've hit the nail on the head this time. Let me ask them if it hurts. Hai Shanghai, the princes of the 4 countries, and the 2 divine sons of the Longhu sect all had black lines on their faces. At this moment, they didn't feel tired at all, nor did they feel that there were too many people. They really wanted to strip these people naked and hang them up to dry. For a moment it was noisy and chaotic, but Chu Yang was very dissatisfied. He immediately shouted, "Where are my nicknames? My idols are Brick Chu, Stripper Chu, and so on. There are so many nicknames, why don't I have one?" He looked disgusted. "I don't know what to say to you guys. You've really disappointed me." After a moment of silence, the people of Sea Demon City couldn't help but grit their teeth. They really wanted to fight this little brat. Was it easy for them? They were already working hard to satisfy this little brat. In front of Hai Shanghai and the others, he poked at their sore spots and ugly faces. Didn't he see that the 7 of them looked like they were going to eat him? Don't feel wronged. You're just stupid. The people of Sea Demon City grit their teeth even more. You're still not convinced? Chu Yang placed his hands on his hips and said, "Then let me teach you guys a lesson. For example, brick number 2, a magical vehicle in the eastern wilderness. It has great abilities and boundless magical power. Brick number 2, boundless magical power, immortal blessings, longevity equal to the heavens. Brick number 2 will live on for thousands of years." He knocked the eastern wilderness unconscious with a brick. "Live on for thousands of years, his name will go down in history. Brick number 2, do as I please, the world is mine." Chu Yang's sudden speech caused everyone to laugh out loud. This was too difficult, wasn't it? In addition to flattering and fawning, they also had to spout nonsense. They even had to be frivolous and frivolous. They had to be shameless to the extreme. Their shamelessness was beyond imagination. However, complaining was useless. They could only hope that the little demon king would not raise the difficulty level. Brick number 2, riding in the eastern wilderness, has great magical powers and boundless magical powers. Brick number 2, boundless magical power, immortal blessings, longevity equal to the heavens. Brick number 2 will live on for thousands of years. He knocked the eastern wilderness unconscious with a brick. Live on for thousands of years, his name will go down in history. Everyone cheered in unison. Hai Shanghai and the rest of the 7 were no exception. 7-Star God was no exception, and the people of the 5 Elements sect were no exception. No one wanted to be used as an example by this little demon king, stripped naked and hung up to dry. The Heart Melody Saint could only follow behind and cheer with him. He could only surrender to this little brat. Chapter 782. Brick number 2, riding in the eastern wilderness. You have great powers and boundless magic power. Suddenly, a shameless voice came from afar. Before the person arrived, the voice had already traveled over. Everyone was shocked. When they looked over, they saw a dazzling golden light. A big winged gold rock bird spread its wings and flew over from the direction of the demon realm. Behind the big winged gold rock bird was a 9-headed lion and a winged white tiger. Brick number 2, Boundless Magic Power. You will enjoy immortal blessings forever and live as long as the heavens. Brick number 2, Long Live. You knocked out the eastern wilderness with a brick. You will live forever and leave your name in history. As the big winged gold rock bird and the others got closer, their flattering voices became louder and louder. Everyone was afraid that they would be outdone by the big winged golden rock and the other two. They were afraid that this little devil would find their weakness, so they immediately shouted at the top of their lungs, completely drowning out the voices of the big winged golden rock and the other two. Bang! As soon as the 3 big winged gold rock birds landed, they quickly turned into human forms. They were the little gold rock king, King Jiuling, and winged tiger king. They were the supreme prodigies of the younger generation of the demon clan. Everyone couldn't help but be surprised. The prodigies of the demon clan had improved so quickly. They hadn't been baptized yet, but they had already completely understood the instructions and spirit of the little devil. Young Master, riding in the eastern wilderness, boundless magic power. Young Master, boundless magic power. You will enjoy immortal blessings forever and live as long as the heavens. Long live the young master. He knocked the eastern wilderness unconscious with a brick. Long live the young master's name. The little gold rock king Sanson immediately knelt down and bowed to Chu Yang. They didn't look like ferocious monsters anymore. They were simply 3 shameless dogs. Young master, my father didn't know you were coming. He offended you just now. He deserves to die. As the little gold rock king spoke, the 9-spirit king and the winged tiger king walked out from behind him. There was a square crystal in King Jiuling's hand. Within it was a misty and primal chaos. As the misty energy rose, it seemed to faintly form a continent. The winged tiger king, on the other hand, was hugging a large jade-colored egg that was as tall as a person. An intense and vigorous aura of life emanated from within it. Young master, the little gold rock king pointed at the square-shaped crystal and said, "This crystal contains the origin of the eastern wilderness continent. The origin inside can generally form a small continent." It could form a small continent. Chu Yang was shocked. Just how much of the eastern wilderness's source energy is this? No wonder the 4 nations and 3 sects immediately took action. Young master, the little gold rock king spoke again. This egg is a desolate demon egg left behind by our former demon king. This time, we didn't know that young master was coming and offended young master. We know that we are guilty of 1,000 deaths. In our panic and bewilderment, we can only ask for young master's forgiveness with these 2 trivial things. If young master can calm down a little, we will be satisfied. The little gold rock king, King Jiuling, and the winged tiger king knelt down again and shouted, "Young master, you are a divine being in the eastern wilderness. You are powerful and boundless. Young master's magic power is boundless. You will enjoy immortal blessings forever and live as long as the heavens. Young master, you will live for thousands of years. You will knock the eastern wilderness unconscious with a brick. You will live for thousands of years and leave your name in history." Amidst the loud cheers, Chu Yang was dumbfounded. So much eastern wilderness origin and the desolate demon egg were just 2 small things? Is the demon realm really so afraid of me? He was completely confused and couldn't find any clues at all. Logically speaking, even if his status was noble and the demon realm couldn't afford to provoke him, it shouldn't be to this extent. Swish, swish, swish. Chu Yang had just accepted the 2 items when the 6 of them flew over. However, when they saw Chu Yang, they only looked at him from afar and didn't dare to approach. Chapter 783. At this moment, Chu Yang finally understood what was going on. Little Gold Rock King and the others clearly knew that they couldn't keep the treasures, so they might as well give them to him. Oh! Chu Yang looked at the 6 people and laughed. Before you apologize, can you be a little more sensible? Even those who drink raw meat and drink blood know etiquette, don't you know? Damned brat. Little Gold Rock King Sanson heard the words eat raw meat and drink blood, and his heart was filled with killing intent. Little young master rides the eastern wilderness. His magical powers are vast and boundless. Little young master's magical powers are boundless. He will enjoy immortal blessings forever and live as long as the heavens. Little young master will live for thousands of years. He knocked out the eastern wilderness with a brick. His name will go down in history for thousands of years. The 6 people also sang praises to Chu Yang. Little Gold Rock King Sanson knew the slogan, and so did they. Both sides had actually played a game in the demon realm before. When the bald old man arrived and conveyed Chu Yang's anger, Little Gold Rock King Sanson immediately flew over. Both sides were extremely fast, and soon arrived at the Sea Demon City. On Chu Yang's side, the slogan was earth-shattering. How could they not know? The only difference was that Little Gold Rock King and the others had an idea that the 6 people would rather let the so-called little young master take advantage of them than let the 2 treasures fall into their hands. Not bad, ha ha. Chu Yang laughed. I wonder what the 6 of you want to give me as a gift? The 6 people couldn't help but stiffen. What gift? They didn't have anything to give, and they weren't prepared. They had been tricked. However, in an instant, one of the 6 people responded. Little young master rides the eastern wilderness. His magical powers are vast and boundless. He opened his mouth and said, when the Emperor of Wei heard that he had offended the little young master, he was terrified. He knew that he was powerless to appease the little young master's anger, but he tried his best. He specially sent the Emperor of Wei to the little young master as an apology. I hope that the little young master will not hurt your body because of his stupidity. After that, it was the same for the 3 nations of Wu, Han, and Qi. The Dragon Tiger sect and the 7 Stars sect basically followed suit. In just a short while, Chu Yang had already unified the eastern wilderness. How cunning! Chu Yang cursed in his heart. The position of emperor and sect master were just half-hearted words, and they had given him enough face. At the same time, this was also a test. He could clearly feel that the Little Gold Rock King and the other 6 people were waiting for him to respond. You guys did a good job. What can I not grasp? Chu Yang immediately pointed at the 6 of them. But I'll remember all of you. Wei, Wu, Han, and Qi, as well as the Dragon Tiger sect and the 7 Stars sect, right? How dare you act so pretentious in front of me? Disgusting. I'll teach you guys a lesson sooner or later. The 6 of them immediately expressed their fear, but Chu Yang no longer paid any attention to them. Such a move made the eyes of the Little Gold Rock King and the others flicker, but no one knew what they were thinking. What about the 5 Elements sect? Chu Yang smiled and suddenly looked at the Saint Son of Zither Melody. What does the 5 Elements sect plan to give me? The Saint Son of Zither Melody was caught off guard. His underling actually flipped out at him, but he immediately understood. Chu Yang had flipped out at the 4 nations, 3 sects, and so on. How could he leave out the 5 Elements sect? Kiki. The Saint Son of Zither Melody was having a headache over how to answer. Chao Ju had already laughed strangely and said, Young master, we've already prepared the gift for you. Suddenly, Chao Ju took out firewood, rice, oil, salt, and pots, bowls, ladles, and basins. Everyone couldn't help but be stunned. Chu Yang also stared. Chao Ju smiled and said, Young master, listen to me. These were originally prepared for your idol. When you enter Emperor Island, these will be useful. After a pause, he smiled again and said, Your idol said that you have to learn how to live. After all, although there are many ingredients in Emperor Island, there are no tools or tools to cook. Such a reason, Was the Five Elements sect stupid? Everyone was shocked and impressed. Could it be that the Five Elements sect specially produced strange people? However, ha ha ha. Chu Yang laughed heartily. Wonderful, wonderful. This is simply wonderful. My idol is simply too thoughtful. As expected of my idol, he doesn't take the ordinary path. This was actually possible. The 6 people from the 4 nations and 2 sects, as well as the little gold rock king and the others, were all shocked. Just firewood, rice, oil, salt, pots, and basins were taken care of. Everyone couldn't help but be stunned. Wasn't this a bit too outrageous? However, on second thought, there was a reason behind it. It was better to give the right thing than anything else. The Five Elements sect's words just now had accurately grasped this little devil's vein and hit the nail on the head. As expected of my idol's senior brother. You have a bright future. After being praised, Chao Ju smiled and said, Of course. I will follow behind Big Bastard Chu and Young Master unswervingly. I will contribute to the shameless and shameless cause. The Saint's son of Zither Melody also smiled. Whoever dared to say that Chao Ju was a fool was definitely the biggest fool. Chao Ju obviously realized something but pretended not to know. At this time, he came out and put a perfect end to it. Chapter 784. Seeing the Saint Child's admiring gaze, Chao Ju knew that the Saint Child was praising him for his wit. His mouth twitched involuntarily. Wit had nothing to do with him. Just now, Chu Yang had sent him a voice transmission. It was only at this moment that Chao Ju realized that the little nephew he was talking about, the so-called young master, was Chu Yang. Bastard Chu, you've really played big. You've fooled everyone like monkeys. Suddenly, Chao Ju realized that he was very familiar with Chu Yang's method. In the Five Elements sect, Chu Yang had used the title, I'm the most handsome, to cause chaos in the Five Elements sect. Now it was just that I'm the most handsome had become East Continent's little prince, but he had also turned the Eastern wilderness upside down. Chu Yang had left with the excuse of learning how to cook. He didn't know what happened to the 4 countries, 3 sects, the Sea Demon City, and the Fiend Realm. The only thing he cared about was the battle in the Fiend Realm. He had also received news from the Saint Child that the 4 countries, 3 sects, and the Sea Demon City had joined forces to stop the Fiend Realm from stealing the Eastern Wilderness's origin. The desolate demon prince had fled and disappeared. In the Five Elements sect's encampment, Chu Yang began to absorb the Eastern Wilderness's origin in a secret room. I wonder how much the Eastern Wilderness's origin can improve my genius martial soul and idiot martial soul. Lil Guai wasn't here. Little 6 and Little 5 weren't here either. Lil Guai was too obvious. It was a huge flaw, so Chu Yang sent it away in advance. It was also stupid, so he had to let Little 6 and Little 5 follow him. Chu Yang only planned to improve his genius martial soul and idiot martial soul. He still needed the identity of the East Continent's little prince. If his physical body also broke through to the 2nd level, he would grow by 1 year and become 8 or 9 years old. The change wasn't very big, but if he broke through to the 3rd or 4th level, it would be too obvious. Boom! Soon, 20 dragons appeared in the void behind him. 20 dragon power. Originally, Chu Yang's strength had already reached 15 dragons, and his martial spirits had also been upgraded to 2nd grade. His physical body was only 5 dragons away from perfection. Now that he had absorbed the Eastern Wasteland's origin, his strength had instantly reached 20 dragons. Now that he had reached the great circle of the 2nd layer of the Soul Ascension realm, his small body couldn't help but grow a little taller. Every time he advanced to the 2nd transformation of the Ascending Soul Realm, he would generally grow older by 1 year. When he broke through to the 9th transformation of the 2nd transformation, he would more or less recover his original appearance. Now I'll use the remaining Eastern Wilderness origin source to upgrade my genius martial soul and fool martial soul. Chu Yang did not plan on devouring the desolate demon egg right now. He planned to leave it for little 6 or little 5, and let one of them enter the egg to revive. Third level of the ascending soul realm. Fourth level of the ascending soul realm. Fifth level of the ascending soul realm. The absorption of the Eastern Wilderness origin source by the genius martial soul and fool martial soul was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they had completely absorbed the Eastern Wilderness origin source. His physical body, saber and sword martial soul, and flood dragon martial soul were not contaminated by the Eastern Wilderness origin source at all. They were still at the second transformation of the second transformation, but the improvement of the genius martial soul and fool martial soul was also very shocking. In just an instant they had risen by 5 levels. The Eastern Wilderness origin source is really good stuff. It can actually upgrade my 2 great martial souls by 3 levels. It's really incredible. The upgrade of the genius martial soul and fool martial soul required a huge amount of energy. Chu Yang knew very well that being able to upgrade them by 3 levels was already far beyond his imagination. Chapter 785. Rumble. Suddenly, Chu Yang's mind trembled. From his forehead, a mental energy fluctuation formed a visible shock wave that rushed out. Everywhere it passed, everything was flattened. Even the houses collapsed. Within his spiritual world, it was a scene of destruction. The entire sky had collapsed. However, this only lasted for an instant. After the sky collapsed, an even wider world appeared in front of him. In an instant, Chu Yang's spiritual world was much wider than before. It was as if a lake had turned into an ocean. Heavenly Barrier, Rank 5 Array Master. Chu Yang was shocked. The genius martial soul and idiot martial souls leveling up was like a child becoming a god. The heavenly barrier that bound them was directly broken by them. Haha, the heavens are helping me. I broke through the heavenly barrier and became a rank 5 array master. With arrays, I will have the ability to deal with spirit stage experts in the future. Chu Yang was overjoyed. At this moment, if the entire world was like a martial artist's paradise after reaching the spirit stage, then Chu Yang felt that the entire world was his array. His perception had suddenly become much greater. Currently, the Sea Fiend City was like a clear pool in his perception. He could see through almost everything. The Sea Fiend City's City Lord's Mansion, the Fiend Realm, and the 4 nations' 3 sects' encampments in the Sea Fiend City were all within his perception. Not only are there us fiends on Emperor Island, but there are also the descendants of the Eastern Wilderness's great emperor and his loyal subordinates. Right now, Emperor Island has already become the natives there. The Emperor Island is filled with treasures and great fortunes. If one can enter the sealed land in the end, pass the test, and gain the recognition of the Eastern Wasteland Pagoda, unifying the Eastern Wasteland would be a piece of cake. It would be best if we could confirm this brat's identity before he enters Emperor Island. Otherwise, it would cause too much of an impact. It's not easy to go to the East Continent from the Eastern Wilderness. We have to cross many oceans. Even if we reach the Eastern Wilderness, how can we easily investigate this brat's identity? Why would the Gongsun family care about us Eastern barbarians? Who is spying? The moment he broke through to become a level 5 array master, Chu Yang sensed a lot of things, but they were all very fragmented and only a few words. After all, there was a capable person in the other side who had a great shielding effect. However, this was enough. Chu Yang already knew a lot. Half a month later, on the west side of the Sea Demon City, in the endless ocean, there was a mist that seemed to cover the entire ocean. It was hazy and faintly discernible. Not long after, the mist filled the Sea Demon City, causing a commotion in the city. Not long after, a loud sound was heard from the ocean, shaking the heaven and earth. Endless multicolored light shot out, as if a great sun had risen there. At that moment, everyone in the Sea Demon City felt as if a god had awoken from a long slumber in the vast ocean. He opened his eyes from the hazy chaos, and those multicolored lights seemed to be shooting out from his eyes. Rumble! Amidst the vast ocean, thunder and lightning interweaved. The sound of thunder was deafening, and torrential rain poured down. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Emperor Island is finally going to appear and reappear in the world. The passageway is about to open. All the important figures from various forces in the Sea Demon City opened their eyes wide at this moment. They looked at the vast ocean and watched nervously. In the vast ocean there were raging waves. Huge waves soared into the sky, reaching a height of 100 meters. However, they were still unable to block out everything. A blurry yet incomparably huge shadow was faintly discernible, as if a continent was floating over from afar. Chapter 786. Emperor Island is a world of its own. It is an extremely powerful dimensional space. Today's opening is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Children, this is an opportunity for you and also a test for you. You might be able to obtain a great opportunity inside, or you might die without a burial ground. It is up to you to decide. An elder shouted loudly, shaking the entire Sea Demon City. This elder did not belong to any faction. Quickly prepare. Our Great Way wants to unify the Eastern Wilderness. This is the best opportunity. If we can obtain the recognition of the Eastern Wilderness Great Emperor and obtain the inheritance, our Wu country will unify the Eastern Wilderness. Even if we cannot obtain the inheritance of Emperor Island, we must not let others succeed. Fey region, you have to be extremely careful. Although the 4 countries and 3 sects have foiled their plans, there are desolate demons suppressed in Emperor Island. If they were to rescue the desolate demons, we would become food for the Fey. The 4 countries and 3 sects, Sea Demon City, and various factions in the Eastern Wilderness had different goals, but at this moment they were all overwhelmed with emotions. Before the Eastern Wilderness Great Emperor died, he left behind Emperor Island to select the next great emperor of the Eastern Wilderness. It could be said that the inheritor of Emperor Island would inherit the Eastern Wilderness. In an instant, the entire Sea Demon City was in chaos. All the major factions were on the move. Everyone was on the move. Many people who were previously silent had now appeared and were no longer hiding. Screech! The little gold rock king was the first to fly over. It transformed into its true form, a 1,000-foot-long gold rock bird with large wings. It spread its wings and instantly disappeared in front of everyone. Roar! King Nine Spirit and Winged Tiger King roared. After the little gold rock king, they also flew towards Emperor Island. Little Ape King, Little Three-Eyed King, Princess Fox, and many other demon races, eagle demons, bear demons, wolf demons, and others also rushed towards the vast ocean. Of course, in the Eastern Wilderness, the strength of the human race was at its peak. Wei Country, Wu Country, Han Country, Chi Country, Dragon Tiger Sect, 7 Stars Sect, various aristocratic families, various large and small sects, as well as Sea Demon City, were all heading towards Emperor Island in the middle of the vast ocean. Young master, can you hurry up? If this goes on, we'll be left behind. When the disciples of the 5 Elements sect saw how slow Chu Yang was, they were so anxious that they lost their heads. They even urged Chu Yang to hurry up. Why are you panicking? If you follow me, aren't you afraid that you won't be able to get anything? You're looking down on me. Chu Yang glared. Should I prove it to you first? The disciples of the 5 Elements sect came to their senses at once. Don't. Little young master, you're so resourceful and powerful. We misspoke just now. Let's slap ourselves. Alright, look at all of you. You're really embarrassing my idol. If I see my idol, I'll surely advise him to leave the 5 Elements sect as soon as possible. Everyone from the Five Elements sect was speechless. How was this a disgrace? First come, first serve. There were many natural treasures in the Emperor Island. If one lagged behind, there would be nothing left. Little young master, hurry up. There wasn't enough time. The saint's son's face darkened. This little brother of his dissed both outsiders and himself. He was always so frivolous. Chao Ju also gritted his teeth. He really wanted to beat up Chu Yang. There were mountains of gold and silver there. Even if he didn't care, they did. Alright. I really have to hand it to you guys. Haven't you heard of the saying, good food is not afraid of being late? Those who go in first are just scouting for us. What he said made sense. However, the saint's son didn't have time to argue with him. He led the Five Elements sect and rushed out of the Sea Demon City, arriving at the seaside. Boom! In the vast ocean, the primal chaos mist became thicker and thicker. In the end, it surged and roared like waves. It was a spectacular and majestic sight. At this moment, the waves on the sea were even bigger. It was a vast expanse of whiteness, surging up and down violently. It seemed as if the whole world was rumbling violently. Many people had lived for more than half their lives, but this was the first time they saw such a scene. It was simply too majestic. While they were still at the seaside, the Five Elements sect could already feel the endless waves. It was as if there were thousands of soldiers and horses charging towards them. The waves hit the sky, and the rumbling sound shook the heavens. It was boundlessly terrifying. Boom! At the place where the Emperor Island appeared, there was another loud explosion. The misty primal chaos there was dispelled. It was as if there was a big hand calming down the ocean. The waves also gradually calmed down. Chapter 787. Chu Yang was dilly-dallying because he was waiting for Xiao Guai and the others. Now that the Emperor Island had completely appeared, and Xiao Guai was not here yet, it should have entered the Emperor Island alone. Hurry! Saint Child Zither Melody and the others were anxious now. Chao Ju even glared at Chu Yang angrily. Then, he led the Five Elements sex group and flew towards the Emperor Island with Saint Child Zither Melody. Chu Yang knew that he was being blamed, but he knew he was in the wrong, so he did not throw a tantrum. When the Emperor Island opened, many mystic realms would also open. The treasures inside would fall into the hands of others if they were half a beat slower. The vast ocean was boundless, and the calm was like a large dark blue mirror. The waves gently surged like the breath of a giant, and the raised waves were the cheers or laughter of someone. The Emperor Island did not seem far, but as they flew at high speed, the ocean kept running behind them. The coastline became further and further away, but the Emperor Island was still very far away. The Five Elements sex group was anxious and flew at high speed. After an unknown amount of time, the Emperor Island finally appeared before everyone's eyes. Rather than calling it an island, it was more like a piece of land on the sea. It was ridiculously huge. When they looked over and saw the Emperor Island, they could no longer see the ocean. The Emperor Island was covered by a huge light shield. The mountain ranges were undulating, and the peaks were towering into the clouds like heavenly pillars. Rivers and lakes could be seen when one looked up. There was even a huge inland sea in the middle. Chu Yang and the others quickly looked away from the Emperor Island and landed on a huge door. This was the only entrance to the Emperor Island. Although it was huge, there were too many people. They could not squeeze in at once. The sea of people was blocked outside, and there were many places where fierce battles broke out. Chu Yang looked at it and was speechless again. He slowly realized that this time, he had really committed a great sin. The Five Elements sex group was almost at the back. By the time they entered, the people who entered first would have already had a lot of treasures. Bastard Chu, the elders were still hoping that you would be able to lead us to be the first to take the initiative. This is great. Chao Ju sent a voice transmission, which made Chu Yang angry and embarrassed. He glared at Chao Ju with his pure eyes. Scram! A sea serpent dragon unfurled its 1,000-foot-long body. With a swing of its body, it swept away everything before disappearing into the huge door. Screech! Behind it, a cyan luan bird took to the skies, also going crazy. The people and demons in front of it were all swept away, also entering the door. The 7 or 8 sea elephants worked together and ran in unison. They trampled on the earth, creating rumbling sound. Their speed became faster and faster, overturning everything as they charged in. At this moment, the demon clan of the demon region, as well as the countless sea demons in the sea, all rushed towards the giant door. They were all anxious to enter the Emperor Island and find their own fateful encounters. The many human talents in the eastern wilderness didn't want to be left behind. They leaped up and chased after them. They also charged through the portal and entered the Emperor Island. The more Chu Yang looked at it, the more he felt that his sin was growing. Then, he directly flipped out and roared at the people of the 5 Elements sect. "Why haven't you shouted the slogan yet?" He was indignant. "Bastards, these things are all blind. Why aren't they kneeling down to welcome me when I'm here?" The people of the 5 Elements sect were speechless. However, Chao Ju, Jin Duo, and the Silver Wolf liked it. They knew that this ancestor was about to flip out, so they immediately roared. "The young master has come to the Emperor Island. His magical powers are vast and boundless." Chapter 788. Ah! Chu Yang shrieked. Then, he roared, "All of you deserve to die." Boom! He opened the way. His small body was like a falling star from outer space. He broke through all obstacles and led the people of the 5 Elements sect through the huge door and into the Emperor Island. Swoosh! 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 The group entered a passageway. It was foggy and extended in all directions. No one knew where it led to. The Saint's son did not follow them into Emperor Island. Once he entered Emperor Island, his cultivation level would be greatly suppressed and fall below the soul reincarnation realm. Of course, this was not the main reason. The Saint's son did not care much about the opportunities in Emperor Island. Compared to the East Continent, the Eastern Wilderness was too barren. The Saint's son had experienced adventures like Emperor Island many times. Emperor Island was not very attractive to him. There are many passageways here. Choose different passageways and you will be sent to different areas of Emperor Island. However, you will gather at the center of Emperor Island. Since the Saint's son was not around, Chao Ju was the leader of the 5 Elements sect. He said, "You can choose where you want to go now. However, I suggest that you follow the young master." Although that was the case, there were still many people from the 5 Elements sect who entered the other passageways in 2s and 3s. Even the Crooked Blade Immortal, Qingfeng, Gong Shang and the others had all left. However, most of them still followed Chao Ju. Jin Duo and the Silver Wolf did not leave either. Chu Yang took the lead. He didn't change his direction. He followed the main passage and went straight in. After an unknown amount of time, the cave entrance suddenly appeared in front of them. It was filled with fog. Light shone through the fog and shone in. Then, the group passed through. In an instant, Chu Yang immediately felt an extremely rich essence qi of heaven and earth rushing towards him. It was many times denser than outside. The essence qi was so rich that it almost turned into water. Emperor Island is indeed a treasure. If we cultivate here, we will be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. The 5 Elements sect disciples were very excited. However, Chu Yang's small face was already frowning. The smell of blood. His divine senses were very sharp. His nose had already smelled the faint smell of blood. Ah! Immediately after, miserable shrieks were heard. When Chu Yang led the group into Emperor Island, What appeared before them was a bloody world, a world of massacre. They immediately found the source of the mournful screams they heard just now. They saw a 3-meter-long green lizard, like a cat playing with a mouse, swallowing a person bit by bit into its stomach. Listening to this person's screams, the green lizard's face showed a happy expression. Chu Yang's eyes swept across the area. This was an extremely beautiful and peaceful place. The mountain peaks of various sizes were overflowing with brilliance and color, dense with spiritual energy. They were covered with spiritual vines and fine trees. There was a clear and limpid lake in front of them. Strands of spiritual energy rose into the air, shrouded by clouds and mist. It was like a paradise. However, this kind of beauty, this kind of peace, had been completely shattered. Screams, shouts, wails, and cries rose and fell one after another. Blood flowed like a river. Demonic beasts were everywhere, densely packed together. Suddenly, seeing this scene, Chao Ju and the rest suddenly felt their hair stand on end. Their expressions were solemn, and they became alert. Oh my God, there are so many demonic beasts. They are all over the mountain. A 5 Elements sect disciple was terrified. His trembling voice broke the silence. Demonic beasts were still appearing one after another. They gathered here from the depths of Emperor Island. The demonic beasts and sea demons that entered through the passageway also gathered with the demonic beasts on Emperor Island to kill the humans. Chapter 789. The stench of blood permeated the air as endless savagery was unleashed. Slaughter was taking place one after another, densely packed together. There were cheetahs with shiny golden fur, giant crocodiles with bronze bodies, wild boars with steel spikes all over their bodies, giant snakes that were hundreds of meters long, green, white, tricolored, 5-colored, and all sorts of other colors. Bang bang bang! Boom boom boom! Battles were taking place everywhere. There were loud sounds of collisions and screams everywhere. Where did so many demonic beasts come from? Jean Duodua's scalp went numb. He felt as if he had barged into a demonic beast lair. Have the demonic region, sea demons, and Emperor Island's demonic beasts allied? The silver wolf's pupils also shrank. They should have. The sea demons are the most numerous. Chao Ju was extremely worried. I'm afraid that every passage has been sealed by the demonic beast. They plan to slaughter the humans and occupy Emperor Island, or delay our progress. They must be up to something big. As soon as Chao Ju finished speaking, a sharp scream pierced their ears. They looked up and saw multicolored giant rats suddenly emerging from the ground. They were so fast that it was terrifying. What was even more terrifying was that they were densely packed together. They suddenly rushed out and killed many people in an instant. Their mouths were full of sharp teeth that were stained with blood. They were very ferocious. Many giant rats were chewing and swallowing people alive. Snakes, so many poisonous snakes. Panic screams sounded from another area. In the wilderness there were suddenly wriggling movements. It was thousands of snakes that were crazily rushing over. This scene made Chu Yang's scalp go numb. The people there kept attacking, but the snakes were too densely packed. It was as if there was no end to them. Moreover, there were many small silver snakes hidden among the snake. They were originally hidden in the void, but now they rushed out like lightning. Their killing power was terrifying. Chi, the small silver snakes were like flying swords or flying knives. They directly pierced through people's foreheads. All of them were fatal with one strike. In a moment, countless people had died. Boom boom boom. There were a few places where the battle was extremely intense. Sounds of heaven and earth shattering could be heard. Chu Yang and the others looked over. They were surprised to see Hai Shanghai, the 4 crown princes, the 2 divine sons of the Longhu sect, and the 7-star saint in a fierce battle. Hai Shanghai was fighting a huge black ape. The ape pounded its chest and howled. It had immense strength and was incomparably brutal. It directly tore apart the curtain formed by Hai Xinghai's ocean-breaking fist and went straight for Hai Xinghai. A woo! A wolf's howl shook the heavens as a bronze-colored wolf appeared. Its flesh and blood had turned into bronze, and its head seemed to be carved out of stone. It only had one eye, and it was fighting fiercely against the Wei Kingdom's crown prince. Wherever its eye swept past, everything was petrified. At this moment, the crown prince of Wei Nation's face was as hideous as a ferocious ghost as he fought with all his might. Half of his body had already been petrified. Rumble! A giant steel boar the size of a mountain with snow-white fangs like broadswords charged forward. Nothing could stop it as it battled the seven-star divine sun. Unable to defeat the seven-star divine child, it suddenly curled its head and tail into a ball and began to spin. Behind it, it was like a giant wheel, slicing towards the seven-star divine child. The other three princes and the divine princes of the Longhu sect were also engaged in fierce battles. All 8 of them were at a disadvantage. These 8 demonic beasts were all demonic beasts of the Soul Wheel realm. They were the demonic beasts of the Emperor Island. Although the Emperor Island opened this time, and their realms were suppressed to the Soul Wheel realm and above, the demonic beasts of the Emperor Island were less affected. Therefore, even if these 8 demonic beasts were suppressed, they could still maintain their Soul Wheel realm cultivation. This was also because Hai Xinghai and the others were extraordinary. After their realms fell to the Soul Wheel realm, they could still fight against the Soul Wheel realm. Run! Many people couldn't hold on any longer. Too many of them had never experienced such a bloody and brutal scene. Some of them had already started to break down. They tried to escape from the Emperor Island, but how could they succeed? They were all surrounded and blocked off. Panic spread. As a portion of the people fled, the scene festered even more and collapsed completely. Everyone started to flee. This premeditated massacre by the demonic beasts was too sudden. Not to mention other things, even Chu Yang was caught off guard. Kiki, lowly humans, you must be frightened. Look, you've all turned into fools. Chapter 790. Chu Yang glanced over. There was a smell of blood in front of him, and the corpses on the ground were piled up into a small hill. A peacock was standing on the pile of corpses. Its feathers were bright, as if it was made of colorful metal. It was 30 to 40 meters long, which was not too exaggerated. However, some demonic beasts' strength was not necessarily proportional to their size. This peacock was actually about to break through to the Soul Wheel realm under the pressure of the restrictions on the island. Obviously, this was also a demonic beast that grew up on the island. Chu Yang didn't say anything. Chao Ju and the others didn't say anything either. Are you all scared out of your wits or deaf? I gave you a chance to live, but you don't know how to cherish it. This peacock's eyes were sharp as it stared at Chu Yang and the others. Then, its blade-like gaze landed on Chu Yang. This child's flesh is very tender and looks very delicious. I've decided to eat you. It immediately ordered Chao Ju. Chao Ju was the strongest among them. The one who is fat but not fat, didn't you hear me? Fat but not fat, Chao Ju described it very accurately. Ha ha! Chu Yang couldn't help but laugh. His childish voice resounded through the entire place. Suddenly, everyone couldn't help but fall silent as they all looked over. What are you laughing at? Being looked down upon by a human child, this peacock felt that it had lost all its face. Its cold voice was like a blade that came from its throat. You've never eaten a human before, right? Chu Yang smiled innocently. His smile was very bright, and he asked very seriously. Newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. You humans have a saying that describes people like you, right? You're quite brave to be able to laugh after seeing me. The peacock's voice became even colder. It used the phrase, newborn calves are not afraid of tigers, to cover up the provocation of its dignity. Everyone present, No matter if they were in a fierce battle or running away, when they saw Chu Yang's delicate little face, their expressions became extremely strange. The demonic beasts of the demon region also couldn't help but be stunned when they saw Chu Yang. They had heard that this seemed to be a so-called young master who was extremely ferocious. "Do you all have a death wish? What are you all looking at?" Peacock felt humiliated. She roared angrily as her pupils shot out terrifying beams of light. However, it was surprised to find that although these humans were afraid, they were still watching. It was as if that little brat had some kind of magical power. "Were you the one who killed the bunch of people you're stepping on?" Chu Yang asked with a smile. Peacock was furious. "Lowly food, what right do you have to question me? Get over here and let me eat you. Otherwise, I'll make you beg for death." "You've never eaten a human, and I've never eaten a peacock." Chu Yang knew that a war with the demon race was unavoidable, so he decisively said proudly, "Although I don't have any bad feelings towards peacocks, especially since my cultivation method is somewhat related to peacocks, I don't hate peacocks, but who asked you to fulfill my conditions?" He smiled and looked at the peacock. "I'm definitely eating peacock wings today. Peacock, come to my bowl. You're asking for death." The peacock was furious. It actually asked him to come to the bowl. It completely went berserk. With a swoosh, it raised a huge 5-colored claw. The rainbow light was dazzling and terrifying. It was like a fierce sword unsheathed from its scabbard. It clawed at Chu Yang. If it was a normal person, with the peacock's strength, they would have been torn to pieces by this huge 5-colored claw. But it was facing Chu Yang. Chapter 791. Hee hee. Chu Yang smirked. "I'm relieved to see you like this. Otherwise, if I eat you and the peacock bright monarch asks me why I eat peacocks, I won't be able to answer." With a whoosh, he shot up into the sky at extreme speed like a bolt of lightning. It was not something an ascending soul realm cultivator could resist. In an instant, he was in front of the peacock. His hand was very small, but it was like strangling a chicken or a duck. He grabbed the peacock's neck and lifted it up. The peacock struggled with all its might, but it was to no avail. Its legs were like human legs, galloping in the air. It stuck out its tongue and rolled its eyes. Crack! Chu Yang exerted some strength with his little hand and broke its neck. Then, he lifted it up in the air. The small body of an 8 or 9-year-old was completely disproportionate to the peacock that was dozens of meters long. What was going on? All the demonic beasts were dead silent. The demonic beasts of the demon region were still fine. After all, they had heard of the little young master's ferocious name. However, the sea demons and the demonic beasts of Emperor Island were completely stunned. Many of the people present also looked at the young figure in astonishment. "Why? Am I not impressive enough?" As he spoke, he curled his lip. "That's true. It's just a stupid peacock. How can I be impressive? The little young master rules Emperor Island. His magical powers are vast and boundless. The little young master rules Emperor Island. His magical powers are boundless and his lifespan is as long as the heavens. The little young master rules Emperor Island. Everyone is stunned. He will unify Emperor Island and last for thousands of years." Chao Ju, Jean Duoduo, and the Silver Wolf were very self-aware. They took the lead and shouted. Following them, the people of the 5 Elements sect also shouted. Then, everyone present cheered. They were very excited. With a little demon like Chu Yang here, it would be difficult for the demonic beasts of Emperor Island to kill them. Rule Emperor Island. His magical powers are vast and his magical powers are boundless. He will unify Emperor Island and last for thousands of years. What a joke, hiss. A huge snake that was dozens of meters thick and hundreds of meters long leaped. With a bang, it broke a mountain and threw off several huge snake bodies. It rushed over while spitting out a fishy smell. The ground rumbled. Heavens! After seeing this scene, many people's hearts trembled. These giant snakes were too terrifying. You don't know what you're talking about. You're about to die, yet you still dare to be so arrogant. At the same time, a bird cry resounded in midair. A falcon with a large body and legs spread out completely covered the sky. It was as fast as lightning as it streaked across the sky. Chu Yang didn't take it seriously at all. He smiled and said, "I dawdled and brought the firewood, rice, oil, salt, and pots and pans. Isn't it wise? Take these and prepare this peacock. I want to eat peacock wings later." With that, he tossed the peacock to Chao Ju and the rest. Rumble. At this time, the giant snake had already rushed over. Its huge mouth seemed to be able to swallow a mountain. The poisonous fog it spat out was sizzling, and white smoke billowed in the air. It seemed to be able to corrode the void. "Poisonous bug, are you planning to disgust me to death so that you can inherit my reputation?" Whoosh! Chu Yang controlled a gust of wind to blow away the poisonous fog. With a swoosh, he shot under the giant snake's head and punched down with his small fist. With a loud thud, the giant snake's head fell to the ground uncontrollably. Dust rose into the air. The snake's head exploded, and brain matter and blood splattered everywhere. It was as if a mountain had been smashed into pieces. This scene was too impactful. Such a ferocious giant snake, but in front of that young body, in front of that small white fist, it was like a piece of paper. Instantly, a tsunami of cheers rang out again. The young master rules Emperor Island. His magical powers are vast and his magical powers are boundless. The young master rules Emperor Island. His magical powers are boundless and his lifespan is as long as the heavens. Chapter 792. Gotcha! That hawk had arrived. Its sharp claws tore through the void as it slashed down. At the same time, it shot out a bolt of lightning. This stupid snake can make snake soup, but what can a stupid hawk like you do? I already have peacock wings. I don't need hawk wings anymore. Chu Yang was displeased. Since you took the initiative to send yourself to my bowl, it means that you are the one who is going to make me die of disgust. Therefore, I have decided that hawks and hawks will be at the bottom of my delicious cuisine rankings. Dong. The sky-blotting eagle was fast, but Chu Yang's speed was even faster. With a swoosh sound, he arrived above the eagle. Then, he also used a small fist, and smashed this huge eagle to the ground. Brain matter splattered everywhere. Clang, clang, clang. Immediately after, he raised his hand. Golden light flashed, and the sound of metal rang out from his small palm. It was unknown when, but a woodpecker that was very small, less than a foot long, but its entire body was silver as if it was forged from metal. Its body was incomparably tough, and it launched a sneak attack silently. Its beak was especially shocking. It was long and sharp, flowing with silver light and emitting a cold light. It felt as if it could pierce through anything. However, once it came into contact with Chu Yang's small hand, it trembled. The beak cracked like a piece of porcelain, and the cracks were densely packed as it fell off. The woodpecker was dumbfounded. "Silly bird, what are you doing?" Chu Yang's small hand slapped down, and this woodpecker was instantly crushed into meat paste. Such a ferocious performance shocked all the demonic beasts of the demon region, the demon race of the Emperor Island, and the sea demons. They were all frightened. The 8-soul reincarnation realm demonic beasts that were fighting with Hai Xinghai, the 4 princes, and the others couldn't help but look over at this moment. Their eyes were filled with ferocity. "What are you looking at? Hurry up and kneel down, beg for mercy, and shout the slogan of this young master." Chu Yang pointed at them. "I'm talking about that wolf, that pig, and that monkey. I haven't used my heaven-blessed martial prowess yet. Otherwise, I'll scare you guys to death." After saying that, he bit his finger and muttered, It's impressive to scare me to death, but if these things lose their guts, won't their meat be very bitter? Then, won't they be at the bottom of my gourmet rankings? How can I let down wolf meat and pork meat like this? You're courting death. Rumble. The steel boar's body curled up and turned into a huge steel ball. It rolled over and smashed toward them. Stop. A cold voice suddenly rang out. When it heard this voice, the huge steel pig stopped attacking and glared fiercely at Chu Yang. You're the young master that the little gold rock king was talking about. The voice came from the lake that was filled with dense spiritual energy. Everyone looked for a long time, but they did not see the demon that made the sound. Only when the monster flew out of the lake and landed in the air did the crowd see what it looked like. No one knew what kind of monster it was. Perhaps it was a snake, perhaps it was a flood dragon, or perhaps it was a real dragon. It was no more than a meter long, with a white snake head, a green flood dragon head, and a golden dragon head. At this moment, the flood dragon head and the golden dragon head had their eyes closed as if they were sleeping. Only the white snake head was shining brightly like a white sun. On the snake head, white flames were dancing. Naturally, this wasn't the reason why everyone felt suffocated. There were all kinds of demons. The reason why everyone felt suffocated was that this snake dragon-like demon was actually at the soul reincarnation realm 3rd level. Under the suppression of the Emperor Island, it was actually at the soul reincarnation realm 3rd level. If it wasn't suppressed by the Emperor Island, wouldn't it be a spirit stage demon beast? Obviously, it was also a demon beast from the Emperor Island. Otherwise, even if it was at the spirit stage, it would be suppressed below the soul reincarnation realm. Chapter 793. You are the young master that the little gold rock king was talking about. Evidently, the little golden rock king had already seen this monster with a snake head, a flood dragon head, and a dragon head. However, there was no point in killing it. The monsters of the demon territory, the sea monsters, and the monsters of Emperor Island had teamed up to hunt humans. This meant that they had a close relationship with each other. Haha, the sky flashed, and I made my grand entrance. Chu Yang looked at the monsters and nodded in satisfaction. I'm very satisfied with this entrance. The demon race has created a good atmosphere for you. I give you a compliment. The demon race had surrounded the hunter race just to create an opportunity for him to make his entrance. How narcissistic could he be to say something like that? Everyone present, both humans and monsters, was deeply impressed by Chu Yang's shamelessness. The three-headed snake, let's call it the three-headed snake for now. It also caused all the humans and demons to be astonished. Thank you for your compliment, young master. The three-headed snake's white snake head actually smiled, and even seemed to be flattering him. This was not important. What was important was that the three-headed snake actually admitted it. The monsters were originally waiting for the three-headed snake to deal with Chu Yang. They were also very nervous, extremely worried that Chu Yang would not be a match for the three-headed snake. There should have been a great battle, or the three-headed snake could kill Chu Yang unilaterally. But in the end it turned out like this. They had seen a ghost, they had really seen a ghost. Both humans and monsters were dumbfounded. What was going on? Chu Yang was also caught off guard by such flattery. He thought to himself, is the Gongsun family's name so terrifying that all living things tremble in fear and become lackeys and servants? Young master's satisfaction is my unswerving pursuit. Hearing this, Chu Yang glared. This was not his famous saying, but it came from his mouth. The three-headed snake also knew. No, this was a famous saying of its idol, Chu Yang. It almost exposed itself. Chu Yang thought for a long time but still could not figure it out. He suddenly said, "That thing, are you a snake, a flood dragon, or a dragon? You have 3 heads and I'm confused. It shows my ignorance, you are guilty. I deserve to die." When the three-headed serpent spoke again, Everyone couldn't help but be stunned once more, and they were all speechless. You piece of shit, I'm asking you to introduce yourself. Can't you understand human language? Young master, I should be called the Triple Change Snake, also known as the Three Tribulations Snake. After 3 changes, I become a dragon. Triple Change Snake. Chu Yang couldn't help but be startled. He felt that this so-called triple transformation snake was perhaps extraordinary. His constitution was that of a mortal, a Sien Tian spirit, and then a chaotic creature. Wasn't this also equivalent to 3 transformations? His physique's 3 transformations were extremely shocking. It was accompanied by the 3rd transformation of the primitive martial arts, the 3rd transformation of the Chi soul, and the 3rd transformation of the ascended soul. This bullshit triple transformation snake was born with this kind of talent. So you're saying that you were born with the ability to reach the 3rd transformation of the sure martial arts, the 3rd transformation of the Chi soul, and the 3rd transformation of the ascending soul? Chu Yang asked directly. His question scared everyone half to death. If this monster in front of them was born with the ability to reach the 3rd transformation of the origin martial realm, the 3rd transformation of the Chi soul, and the 3rd transformation of the ascended soul, then it was too terrifying. Therefore, they were like Chu Yang, waiting for the triple change snake's answer. Young master is joking. My 3 changes are only the 3 stages of transforming from a snake into a dragon. How can it be as amazing as young master said? This stupid snake is lying to me. Is it bullying my intelligence? Chu Yang couldn't tell if this was true or false. He reckoned that this lousy snake wouldn't tell the truth. Anyway, his nerves were completely taut at this moment. He realized that he was no longer unique. The pressure suddenly became incomparably huge. I say, that thing, are you telling the truth or lying? Chapter 794. Phew! Chu Yang pretended to be scared to death. He patted his chest with his little hand as if he was comforting his frightened little heart. Thank goodness you didn't do it. You did it, but I didn't. Isn't that embarrassing? No, you might be lying to me. Chu Yang poked the triple transformation snake and shouted angrily, Hey, you, for safety's sake, kill yourself immediately, lest you overshadow your master. The triple transformation snake finally understood what it meant to be willful. The lousy kid in front of it really thought that the world would be destroyed because of him. Young master, I'll die now. Whoosh! The triple transformation snake's body swayed, and like a flash of lightning, it flew into the depths of Emperor Island and disappeared directly. It actually escaped. It seemed to be the leader of the demons, but it escaped just like that. Everyone was completely dumbfounded, and they couldn't understand the situation in front of them. Then, the demons seemed to have received an order and quickly retreated. The sky was full of flying demonic beasts, and the earth was shaking. As the demonic beasts ran, it seemed like the earth was going to collapse. Lousy kid, even if you die, you have to die in front of me, or else I won't be at ease. Chu Yang stomped his feet, but he didn't dare to chase after it. The situation in front of him was too strange. Before he figured it out, he didn't dare to act rashly. Then, when he saw the demons running away, he immediately shouted, That ape! Yes, I'm talking about you, the biggest one. Why don't you stay and let me eat your ape brain? This giant ape was the one that had fought with Hai Xinghai just now. When it heard that Chu Yang wanted to eat its brain, it suddenly became ferocious. It turned around and roared angrily. I know you're very happy that I'm eating your ape brain, and you're very honored, but don't be so happy. Everyone was shocked, and the giant ape was so angry that it breathed out 2 streams of air from its nose. However, it roared angrily and glared at Chu Yang fiercely. Then, it rumbled away and disappeared in a moment. Obviously, this ape wasn't afraid of Chu Yang, but it had to follow orders. Flap, flap, flap. In the distance, a large white dove rushed out, releasing terrifying fluctuations as it flew over. Shao bye bye, don't go. I haven't had white pigeon soup for a long time. It's your turn tonight. Come into the soup. You're not allowed to leave, you black and swarthy thing. I'll eat bear paws, so leave my bear paws behind. Chu Yang soared into the sky, preparing to catch the white pigeon and make it into a white pigeon soup. However, he saw a strange black bear in the distance. It had a horn on its forehead and lightning flashed on it. He felt that this black bear was definitely extraordinary, and its paws were definitely peerless. He immediately changed his mind. The group of demons fled in all directions, being chased by a young figure. Everyone was already in chaos. Was this so-called young master too valiant, or was this matter too strange? Originally, the demons were hunting them down, but Chu Yang's appearance turned the situation around. These demonic beasts were too much of a joke, weren't they? Did they think that everything they had done was a joke? They killed so many people. Did they think that they would have an easy time and that the human race wouldn't take revenge? Everyone couldn't figure it out. In fact, Chu Yang couldn't figure it out either. He was also very confused. His mind had been stirred into a paste. This matter was too strange. Even if Chu Yang was the son of some big shot in the East Continent, it shouldn't be so strange. If they had scruples, they could completely ignore him, or restrain him, and then slaughter everyone. My head hurts. I don't care anymore. I'll catch a few and eat them first. Otherwise, if I just shout and don't do anything, it's not in line with my style of being a little demon king. He had to hide his identity first. Chapter 795. Swoosh. Chu Yang was extremely fast and appeared behind the black bear in an instant. Such speed made the black bear's body tremble violently. This brat was indeed not simple. It abruptly turned around, and its whole body shone with black light. Lightning flashed incessantly, and a huge black thunderbolt rumbled, as if it was the thunder of the world, and struck towards Chu Yang. Then, four thunderclouds appeared under its bare paws, lifting it up. Like a streak of lightning, it rushed over. With hong-long-long sounds, it continuously broke apart several ancient trees and several mountaintops, possessing extreme speed. My bear paw, you can't escape. Chu Yang withstood this blow. With a whizzing sound, he caught up with the black bear in an instant. Then, the black bear screamed again. Surprisingly, Chu Yang had chopped off one of its paws. Shao Bai, I said I'll make soup out of you tonight. Can you escape? Chu Yang soared into the sky, and chased after the white pigeon that was fleeing towards the horizon. That white dove cried angrily in the sky, and immediately went berserk. The sky was filled with white flame patterns, and the pure white feathers all over its body actually burst out with white flames that filled the sky and poured down towards Chu Yang like a torrential flood. It was a vast expanse of white, and madly surged down from the sky. The heat wave was scorching, and the scene was extremely terrifying. Shao Bai, it's your honor to be able to make my white dove soup. You dare to resist? Chu Yang took out the yin-yang four symbols vase. With a thought, the fire was like a flood. It covered the sky and earth, and was sucked in immediately. Screech! The white dove cried sadly, and its voice was filled with fear because the yin-yang four symbols vase had locked onto it and was about to suck it into the vase. It struggled with all its might, and the white flames on its body burned even more fiercely. It fully displayed its innate ability, and tried to use its speed to increase by several times to pull it out. However, it was useless and was sucked into the yin-yang four symbols vase. Hee, Shao Bai, I said you can't escape. Chu Yang then took out the white pigeon from the yin-yang four symbols vase, knocked it out, and threw it to Chao Ju and the others. At this moment, everyone present was dumbfounded. Chu Yang's terror had far exceeded their imaginations. Every monster he targeted was definitely not below the 8th layer of the ascending soul tier. They were all extremely powerful, but in front of him, they were pitifully weak. They had truly all been reduced to food. In the distance, in a mountainous area, the first demonic beast to escape saw this scene and could not help but secretly rejoice. Luckily, I escaped first. This so-called young master was even more ferocious than them. He wanted to eat everything. The demonic beasts that were running away in this area all felt their hair stand on end. They ran even more fiercely. For a moment the earth shook, the grass and trees shook, leaves flew, boulders flew, and trees were knocked down. Ah, hairy crabs, I forgot that you can eat seafood. When Chu Yang saw a crab demonic beast laughing, his saliva almost flowed out. The crab demonic beast was so shocked that it rolled over. Just as it was about to escape, it was already sucked into the yin-yang 4 symbols vase. What a good golden sheep! The roasted lamb leg will definitely be good. A golden, dazzling single-horned sheep staggered and almost fainted. After hearing this, it kicked its hind legs and ran wildly, but it was still sucked into the yin-yang 4 symbols vase. Pork, how can there be no pork? I eat pork the most often. Those that flew in the sky, those that ran on the ground, those that swam in the sea. After Chu Yang sucked them in for a while, he quickly stared at the stronger demonic beasts. The pig demonic beast that was fighting with 7-star God was immediately targeted by him. Boom! This pig demonic beast was not afraid of Chu Yang, but because of the order, it did not continue to attack, so it only retreated and did not escape. At this time, Chu Yang caught up and said that he wanted to eat it. It was so angry that smoke was coming out of its 7 orifices. However, that small body fell heavily, and it was very heavy. It did not notice and immediately fell to the ground. It was firmly held down by Chu Yang. Hey, is a human-pig romance going to happen? I'm just saying, can you guys think about the effects of this pair of you? It was an extremely crisp and pleasant voice, but when it fell into his ears, Chu Yang's vision went black, and he almost fell. Which bastard, what kind of eyes are you looking at me with? I'll fall in love with a pig like you. Chapter 796. It should be a human. His face seemed to have been carved out of a metal plate. It was stiff, sharp, and emotionless. His face was golden, and so was his entire body. He looked like a metal man. There seemed to be a parrot on his shoulder. The black, red, and blue fur on his body were evenly distributed. Chu Yang didn't notice when this person appeared. When he noticed, he found that there was no fluctuation of life in this person. Maybe his life force was restrained to the extreme, and there was no trace of life force leaking out. If it was the latter, it was really terrifying. So, Chu Yang couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. At this moment, the tricolored parrot on the person's shoulder was looking at Chu Yang from the corner of its eyes. It said, "What? What I said was wrong. The sky is the blanket and the earth is the bed. This is not wrong. But there are so many people here. How can that sow live if you do this?" Chu Yang had been on guard with rapt attention. But, he staggered and almost fell down as soon as he heard this. Then, black lines appeared on his small face, and his eyes seemed as if they could spurt out fire. He wished he could strangle this parrot to death. "Let go of that sow, let me do it." The parrot's voice was very loud, and the sudden shout made Chu Yang fall to the ground directly. Roar! The pig monster had already turned over and stood up, white smoke coming out of its nose. Rumble! It was completely angry. It didn't care about the so-called order, and didn't care about the so-called young master. It directly rushed over, and the fangs in its mouth were more than 2 meters long, as bright as a long knife, and it rushed toward Chu Yang. This pig monster was the size of a small mountain, and when it ran, the earth shook and the mountains shook, making rumbling sounds. Chu Yang was angry, so he directly used brute force. Bang bang bang. The fierce collision echoed in the mountain, and dust rose into the sky. The mountain rocks were broken, and the trees were broken. The scene was very terrifying. Although the pig monster was very tough, with white smoke coming out of its mouth and nose, and sharp fangs, Chu Yang was more ferocious, and his small fists sent it flying again and again. Hey, hey, the foreplay between a human and a pig is really wonderful. I finally know why you like it. It must be because its skin is rough, and its flesh is tough, and it can satisfy your special preferences. What kind of stupid bird was this? Why was its mouth even more despicable than his? Chu Yang's vision went black, and he almost died from anger. But I like it. My taste is heavy too. Seriously, let go of that sow and let me do it. Dong. Chu Yang secretly used the third cycle of the primitive martial technique and the third cycle of the Chi Soul to kill the pig demon with a single punch. However, before he could glare at it, the voice of the damned bird rang out again. You have no conscience. As the saying goes, a night as husband and wife means endless devotion. How can you hate and be so ruthless? Shua. Chu Yang was infuriated. He had always been the one to make up stories about others, but today, he was actually being made up stories by a broken bird. He shot over like a bolt of lightning, his speed extremely fast. "Io, my friend, can you not be so anxious?" The tricolor parrot let out a strange cry, which made Chu Yang stumble and fall to the ground, creating a large crater. "Friend, can you not be so anxious? She said she would be nice to you, so she will definitely be nice to you. So, what is going on with you? Your beloved wife is dead, and you are heartbroken. You will also have to rest in the ground." Ha! Chao Ju, the silver wolf, and Jean Duo were laughing so hard that their stomachs hurt. Chu Yang's little face turned even darker, but he didn't say anything because the more he said, the darker it would become. He didn't make a move immediately because the golden man was looking down at him, making him feel a great sense of danger. Boom! Then, this person directly made his move. He stomped his foot, and the ground surged like a wave. It was as if a sky-shattering wave was surging over. Boom! Chu Yang also stomped his foot and used his earth physique and primal chaos earth essence. The most basic earth profundity erupted, and a chaotic yellow color surged out from his body. Chapter 797. Rumble. When the two clashed, it was as if two huge waves had crashed into each other, causing an even higher and fiercer wave to surge up. In the middle of the collision, dust rose up into the sky like smoke signals. At this moment, the ground undulated like a vast ocean. The place where the battle took place was covered by endless dust. No one knew what was happening inside, and it didn't fall down for a long time. Who exactly is this person? He is actually so terrifying. Chao Ju was shocked. With Chu Yang's strength and the fact that his cultivation level was suppressed on the Emperor Island, there were very few people who could be his match. "Boss, don't worry about it." Jean Duo curled his lips and said, "Don't you know whose son he is? He is so ferocious. Who can take care of that bastard?" Chu Yang's identity was confirmed to be the son of some big shot in the East Continent. Jean Duo actually accepted this fact in his heart, but he was still more willing to call Chu Yang his little nephew. That's right. Who is our little nephew? He is so resourceful and has boundless magic power. His appearance scared all the demons out of their wits. Silver Wolf also said with a smile, but his brows were tightly knitted. There must be a reason behind this abnormality. Today's incident was a little strange, and he couldn't figure out what was going on. Oh my God, that's so shocking. Is that young master really only at the soul reincarnation realm? I think he already has the strength of the soul reincarnation realm. Didn't you see that pig demon? It was at the soul reincarnation realm, but it was killed by a single punch from young master. That's true. As expected of someone from the East Continent. Our Eastern wilderness can't be compared to him. Everyone was shocked and started to discuss. Then, they started to discuss Chu Yang's current opponent. Who was the person who attacked young master just now? Who knows? There are many strange things happening today. Anyway, it's fine as long as he's a human and not a demon. That's right. If he's not a demon, we shouldn't be in danger. Rumble. Then, everyone felt the ground under their feet suddenly tremble. Huge chunks of earth shot up into the sky one after another, finally forming a huge ball, like a star suspended in midair. A large crater appeared on the ground. Shockingly, it was no longer possible to see Chu Yang's small body and the golden figure. Clearly, the two of them had been wrapped up in the sphere. Everyone raised their heads to look at the huge sphere in midair. Their eyes were filled with shock. What kind of power was this? It was simply shocking. It had completely exceeded everyone's imagination. At that moment, in addition to them, there were also many pairs of eyes in the dark that were witnessing this astonishing scene before them. The burning sky holy son of the Five Elements sect, the so-called son of the sect master of the Five Elements sect, Jun Zhan Tian, was watching this scene from a dark corner. Young master, is the guardian of Emperor Island testing that young master? The burning sky holy son's tone to Jun Zhan Tian was very humble, like a servant facing his master. Perhaps no one could have imagined that a holy son of the Five Elements sect would willingly become a slave. Sort of. Jun Zhan Tian muttered to himself. His eyes looked at the huge sphere in midair, and he was somewhat absent-minded. Then, a fierce look appeared on his handsome face. He said fiercely, even if he passed the preliminary recognition of the Guardian and obtained the mark of the Eastern Wilderness Tower, no one can take away the Jun family's things. The Jun family's things? This sentence contained news that could shake the entire Eastern Wilderness. Jun Zhan Tian was actually the descendant of the great emperor of the Eastern Wilderness. The Eastern Wilderness Tower was in the Eastern Wilderness continent. It was a portable treasure of the great emperor of the Eastern Wilderness. After the great emperor of the Eastern Wilderness died, the Eastern Wilderness Tower disappeared along with Emperor Island. Chapter 798. Jun Zhan Tian was the descendant of the great emperor of the Eastern Wilderness. In the Eastern Wilderness, this was a glorious identity, but why did he have to conceal his identity? If the sect master of the Five Elements sect was Jun Zhan Tian's father, then could the sect master of the Five Elements sect also be the descendant of the great emperor of the Eastern Wilderness? Jun Zhan Tian only lost control of his emotions for a moment, then he calmed down. Then let this so-called little young master, desolate demon young master, and that so-called child of the sea god fight first. When both of them are injured, then it will be time for me to make my move. Young master, until now, that bastard Chu Yang still hasn't shown himself. When the burning heaven saint's son mentioned Chu Yang, his expression was extremely bitter. I'm afraid he has the same idea as young master. What's more troublesome is that this so-called little young master admires Chu Yang greatly. When the time comes, when the two of them join forces, we won't be their match at all. Although the burning heaven saint's son detested Chu Yang to the point of resentment and hatred, he had to admit that Chu Yang was extremely terrifying. He actually single-handedly overturned the Soul Devourer clan and the Thousand Demon sect, and even acted recklessly in the Sea Demon City, humiliating the Demon clan and the 4 nations and 3 sects. He, the burning heaven saint's son, couldn't do such a thing. The young master he spoke of, with his current strength, absolutely couldn't do such a thing. Chu Yang. Jun Zhan Tian's handsome face was suddenly covered in a haze. Chu Yang had always been the one he was most worried about. Compared to this so-called little young master, Chu Yang was elusive. In the dark, he was even more difficult to guard against. Moreover, he was also very shocked by Chu Yang's ability. This so-called little young master in front of him had extremely shocking battle strength, but in his opinion, Chu Yang was definitely a level higher. Especially, Chu Yang was also an array master, a 4th-rank array master. Young master, between this little young master and Chu Yang, one of them must be eliminated first. Otherwise, we won't be able to deal with their alliance at all. The Burning Sky Holy Sun suggested. Although we can't be 100% sure that this young master is from the East Continent, and that he is the son of some big shot in the East Continent, but based on his behavior, we can't be too far off the mark. Jun Tian furrowed his brows. He was very worried. If we kill this young master, I'm afraid there will be no end of trouble in the future. Young master, who would have thought that we were the ones who killed them? The Burning Sky Holy Sun said again, if this young master dies, the big shots of the East Continent will take their anger out on them. The monster realm, the 4 nations, the 3 sects, and the sea demons will also suffer. Jun Tian was still full of misgivings. He frowned and said, "You're thinking too simply. The abilities of those big shots are far beyond your imagination. This method is very risky." Young master, the Burning Heaven Holy Sun insisted, "Young master, if you think this way, then the desolate demon prince and the son of the sea god probably think this way as well. This way, no one will target this so-called young master. If this continues, it's very likely that this young master will obtain the Eastern Wilderness Tower in the end. If that Chu Yang didn't let him succeed, would he give the Eastern Wilderness Tower to that young master?" Although Jun Tian said this, his expression had already changed. Naturally, this question was not easy to answer. After thinking for a while, the Burning Sky Holy Sun said in a deep voice, "Young master, it's very possible." "You're saying that it's very possible?" Suddenly, Jun Tian's eyes became incomparably sharp as he stared at the Burning Sky Holy Sun. "Are you saying that the Eastern Wilderness Tower is worthless?" "Young master, that's definitely not what I mean." "Then what do you mean?" Jun Tian was clearly very sensitive, especially when it came to the Eastern Wilderness Tower and the great Emperor of the Eastern Wilderness. The Burning Sky Holy Sun explained with some fear, "Young master, I'm only making this judgment based on that bastard Chu Yang's big brother's character." "The Peerless Holy Sun?" "Yes." The Burning Sky Holy Sun's voice turned cold. "It's the Peerless Holy Sun, Chu Fei. I don't understand Chu Yang, but I understand this Chu Fei. Chu Fei is very loyal. If his friend obtains the Eastern Wilderness Tower, he definitely won't steal it." Jun Tian already understood the Burning Sky Holy Sun's meaning. Chu Fei and Chu Yang were 2 brothers and had similar natures. It was very likely that they would make the same choice. This way, what the Burning Sky Holy Sun was worried about was very likely to happen. Let's see if this so-called young master can obtain the Guardian's recognition first. Jun Tian had already been convinced by the Burning Sky Holy Sun. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.